Today, it's Game 3 of the American League Championship. The Houston Astros and the Tampa Bay Rays. Today at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Presented by AutoZone.
But we talked to Rick Ross not too long ago, Janae. You tried to do like the infamous Rick Ross.
Okay, so what I did was, what I really need to do is.
Janae and Golick Jr. Weekdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on your smart speaker or wherever you stream your audio.
This Saturday, the UFC is back with a featherweight grudge match. Former title challenger Brian Ortega looks to use his elite jiu-jitsu skill to turn back the powerful striking of fan favorite, the Korean Zombie. Looking for his third win in a row. Plus, a full card of can't-miss action from Fight Island. Don't miss UFC Fight Night, the Korean Zombie versus Ortega. Live only on ESPN+.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Jets didn't have a bad quarterback. They have bad players around and a bad coach coaching the quarterback.
He knows the NFL.
Sam was a top pick. The Jets were not the only team that looked at him as a top 5 pick.
And the NFL knows him.
Matt Castle.
What's up, Trojan?
What's up, Key?
You know how people feel about us Trojans. They hate on us all the time.
Because they want to be us, Key.
Get inside the NFL with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin every morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.
It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Be listening every hour for the word that wins and enter it at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, and we have a ton to cover here this afternoon, again with you live here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM, streaming live at wingam.com, and of course you could watch the show live on Facebook and ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Go to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, and you can hang out with us weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN radio. Listen, stream, and now watch. The number to call in, 457-9464. That is the number that you can call and chat it up. Hang out with us for a little bit. Have some fun. Plenty to discuss. And if we're not on something you want to talk about, bring it to the table. We will dive right in. Lots to get into today. We haven't even touched yet. I mean, a couple days into the week, we haven't even touched yet on everything that happened over the weekend. Of course, in the college football world, we spent a lot of time yesterday reacting to the fallout from week 5 of the NFL. And technically, week 5 of the NFL season is not even technically done yet, Kev. The Titans, who almost screwed everything up. Now, I'm not calling for a forfeiture anymore. They're playing tonight. I only called for them to forfeit if they could not find a way to get the game in during that said week. Technically, it's the next week, but they're getting the game in some way, somehow.
Mm-hmm. I'm here for it. This is something we're going to talk about with Jason Fitz, man. I could see this becoming a norm for the NFL. I could see them trying to totally take it. They already dominate the sports world, but I could see them doing this. I could see them, obviously, the big slate on Sunday, prime time at night, prime time on Monday, prime time on a Tuesday, prime time on a Thursday. Totally take over the entire sports calendar for the fall.
All right, well, we got a lot to get into. I want to open up. I don't know if you watched the game last night. Again, got to see Justin Herbert on full display, and it's been kind of fun watching. I always get a big kick out of watching rookie quarterbacks come into the league and have a shot to kind of implement their stamp on their new team on the new season. And last night we had a chance to see that with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Now, Justin Herbert has had a very interesting journey to becoming the starting quarterback, I should say, for the Chargers at this point. And again, they fall last night in overtime, 30-27. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert throws for 264 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 3 times, but did complete 20 of his 34 pass attempts and had a quarterback rating of 122. The kid's unbelievable. If you look at what he's already gone up against, he's already faced Patrick Mahomes. He's already faced Tom Brady. He's already faced Drew Brees. Like, this is like baptism by fire, basically. Definitely being thrown out into the trenches. Now, I know around here we've, talked about Joe Burrow a lot, and everyone right away has just said how this kid, Joe Burrow, looks above and beyond his years. Like, he looks like a seasoned veteran, which I don't know how you could tell that when he's on his back the whole time. But again, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I named Baker the second best quarterback of the AFC North before he even officially started a game. So we can all play that Fantasyland game all the time. Now, I'm watching the game last night. If you never would have told me, if I had no idea that Justin Herbert was a rookie, there's no way I would have known. Mm-hmm. He did the same things we say about Joe Burrow, about the poise and the control of the offense and just looking like a guy who's in charge. That's Justin Herbert. That's exactly what I saw in last night's game against the New Orleans Saints. Now, I know this team lost, and we're going to get into some of the flaws with the Chargers in just a moment, but I started thinking about the comparisons of Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. And keep in mind, this is a quarterback class that also, the face of the quarterback class was supposed to be the only rookie quarterback that people care about at this point that's not starting, and that's Tua Tagovailoa. Mm-hmm. I have no clue when it's all said and done what this quarterback class is going to look like as far as how we view it and grade it and, is it a success or not. I know a few years ago, the group that Baker Mayfield came in with, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, looked like the face of that group with Baker coming in third. I don't think anyone would have predicted that Sam Darnold would have been one of the flops of that. We've seen Josh Rosen completely disappear. So the quarterbacks, every year we think we have an idea of who the great quarterbacks are going to be. We're doing it this year with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And we right away with Buckeye fans, Justin Fields looks just as good as Trevor Lawrence. We did it with Dwayne Haskins. Where's Dwayne Haskins right now? He's not just the backup. He's a third string. So we have no idea.
Home.
Yeah, we always like to pretend that just because you're dominant in college, that it is right away going to roll over into the pro game. Even if you play a pro-style offense in college, it doesn't always work that way. Look, there's a lot of quarterbacks. Sam Darnold is one. Everyone thought that he was going to be very similar to Andrew Luck, where he just stepped foot out on the field and was an automatic pro. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? We weren't saying that about Justin Herbert. In fact, Justin Herbert, we were expecting to drop in the draft, and he pretty much did. He didn't go as high in the draft as what we had anticipated in regards to where the expectations were heading in to last season. But I'm watching Justin Herbert last night, and I'm thinking, man, if going into that draft in 2016 and I had to predict and rank the quarterbacks of who was going to be the most successful to least successful, I would have put Sam Darnold at the top of the list. I would have probably put Baker behind Sam Darnold. I would have put Josh Rosen next, Josh Allen, and then Lamar Jackson. And that really, going back, I remember finding my notes from that year, and that's pretty much a very popular list. If you go back and re-listen to a lot of the experts, they know really nothing more or less than I do. We're all just giving our opinion on this stuff. Right. We're just guessing. Really, everyone had very similar views and perception of what that draft class was going to look like quarterback-wise. And coming into this one, Joe Burrow, going to be the best. Best college quarterback season of all time, undefeated, Heisman Trophy winner, national championship, number one overall pick. Their life could not get any better for Joe Burrow. Well, until you get behind that offensive line in Cincinnati. So the question I have is, you look at this draft class right now, or this group of quarterbacks at least, and I know Jordan Love with the Packers, there's going to be a while before we ever look at him and put him in the conversation with this group. But Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, the best of all those three. We don't know yet with Tua Tagovailoa, but we've seen Justin Herbert. Joe Burrow has one more start than Justin Herbert. And if I had to pick between the two, you can't go wrong with either. But I'm more comfortable with Justin Herbert after what I saw last night. I'm more comfortable with Justin Herbert after what I've seen the first 4 games. Now, for everyone out there that wants to make excuses for Joe Burrow, hear me out. It's his questionable organization, no offensive line, Zach Taylor. Justin Herbert has it all. I completely disagree. Last night, Justin Herbert had 2 offensive linemen out. Didn't have Keenan Allen. He has a head coach who doesn't believe in him. Hell, let's be honest. Look at Justin Herbert. Does he look like a guy that's not ready for the NFL? Isn't that what his coach was trying to convince me and you and everybody else, that Justin Herbert was just not ready for the NFL, that Tyrod Taylor, if healthy, was the right guy for the job because Justin Herbert wasn't healthy? You don't have support from your head coach. Your offensive line is not that great either. You don't play for a great organization. There's a lot going up against Justin Herbert as well, but he's overcoming it. And that's what I like to see from quarterbacks is when things aren't going well, can you overcome it? Baker's biggest flaw last year is when everything was going wrong, he couldn't overcome it. And he had the weapons to overcome it and couldn't do it. Look at Russell Wilson. Worst defense in the National Football League. Offensive line, one of the weakest ones he's had. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have a lot of weapons behind him. This is actually probably the worst Seattle team he's played on from a paper perspective, and they're 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. Quarterbacks who could do more with less, I'm all for it. Now, last night, They don't win. The Chargers don't win. But I feel better about the direction of the Chargers and their offense because of him than I do about the Bengals' direction of Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow's dependent. He's dependent on that offensive line. He's dependent on having weapons around him. Not Justin Herbert. He doesn't have as many weapons. I mean, you can look at Joe Burrow and argue you have Boyd. You have T. Higgins. You have Joe Mixon. You have a bad offensive line, but again, is that an excuse, or what are you going to do to elevate that offense? Because you look at the two, you start comparing the stats. Herbert's had one less start, better numbers, better completion percentage, better QBR. Heck, Joe Burrow's QBR, there's only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL that have a worse QBR than Joe Burrow right now, and that's Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is one of those quarterbacks as far as that's concerned, and the other one is Jeff Driscoll, which coincidentally is former Bengals quarterback. On top of that, I say all of that because if I have to pick between Joe Burrow and right now Justin Herbert, after what I saw last night, I'm all about Justin Herbert. And that's no slight to Joe Burrow. But if I had to pick only one after what we've seen 5 games into the season moving forward, forget what happened in college, because if you're just going off college, of course it's Joe Burrow. But as we've seen with previous greats, quarterbacks, Dwayne Haskins and Baker Mayfield, and even, Lamar, as good as he was in college, he's not even the same quarterback in the pros as he was in college. He's even better. So college means nothing. It sets the tone to get you. It's your ticket to get to the pros, but what you do when you get there matters. I think Justin Herbert has capitalized more on less starts and less time and less support than the city who gave him everything, who has been worshiping his feet since he stepped foot in Cincinnati. I'm picking Justin Herbert.
That's fair. Based off of what we've seen thus far, the whole thing with Tua, this is why they went with Fitz magic. Because the games that he produced on Sunday, like he put up 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, only threw 3 incompletions. Those are the reasons why he is still starting. But back to Hubbard, it's looking like that thing that I always like about quarterbacks from not the big time schools. It's looking like he was the reason why Oregon was winning. Now we'll see Oregon play in a couple more weeks, but he's looking like the real deal. And something I always like to stress to people is, when your rookie quarterback is balling, and we've seen it so many times in that sophomore slump, we hear that term all the time. We look at, Baker, sophomore slump, RG3, sophomore slump. What are these guys? I'm off here for the rookie year. I'm here for what they're doing as a rookie, but I want to see what they do with that second year. I think that second year is more important than the first year because now we got tape. We see what you like to do. We see what you can do. And more importantly, we know what you can't do. So we're going to force you to do what you can't do. So everything this year that we're seeing from, Joey B and all the other rookie quarterback starters, that's great. And I want you guys to succeed and everything like that. But I'm more interested in seeing how you follow up the following season once we got 16 weeks on you and we know what you like to do and don't like to do, because that's going to tell the true story about how your season's going to go or your career is going to go.
Very true. And again, we are live on Facebook. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Listen, stream, and now watch. Last night, Justin Herbert really just stood. He just stood out. Again, I don't like the Chargers. I think they're a very boring team. But I turned it on for a little bit. I was going to turn it off. He kept me tuned in. Joe Burrow has the same quality, but man, I had to turn it off over the weekend because it's just the Bengals are that bad, and I don't think the Chargers are that much better. But I do believe that, he still has limitations too. It's not like Justin Herbert has all these resources that put him in a better spot to look better. I'm seeing the Facebook response now. Let's go to the Facebook responses now. Again, when you leave your comment in the comment section, we pull it into the show and can interact with you that way. But Tyler Schrody, he said some other stuff about the Browns, but we're going to ignore that. He says half the people in LA probably don't even know that Herbert is starting. I agree 1,000,000%. I don't think that Herbert's draw to his team and his city is as strong as what Burrow's is. But let's be honest. The fans and the fan base loving Joe Burrow, what has that done for him? Has that kept him off his back? Has that kept him from being, running for his life every Sunday? That doesn't mean anything as far as that's concerned. And let's be clear, it's not like, Herbert has gone up against scrubs. He's gone up against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, the Super Bowl contender. He's gone up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Super Bowl contender. Goes up against the Saints, who coming in you would have labeled as a Super Bowl contender. They're without Michael Thomas. They look slower. They look older. But again, all eyes are going to be on the Saints and Drew Brees moving forward as a potential, a playoff team. And maybe, if they get hot late in the season, a Super Bowl contender. The Bengals haven't even played anyone of significance until they played the Ravens this past weekend. And look at the gap between the Bengals and Joe Burrow and the really good Ravens team. Look at the gap between Justin Herbert and the Saints. Nearly beat them in overtime. And let's be clear, the offensive line for the Chargers is not that good. 2 starters were out. You also have a Saints team who are one of the top pass rushing teams in the NFL, and you have Lattimore, one of the best corners. So, like, that defense is pretty good for the Saints as far as that's concerned. And Justin Herbert looked like a seasoned vet. I'll take Herbert over Joe Burrow as far as that's concerned. Let's go to Jake Whiting. He says, okay, but if Burrow's line was better, the Bengals would be better. Burrow had 3 straight games of 300 yards. Hey, listen, the Bengals are down in games. We talk about this all the time, kind of junk stats a little bit. And Burrow's good. Like, this is turning into, like, people getting defensive.
Are they down in games all the time? Like, I mean, talk about like
winning.
I'm talking about like, are they down where like, all right, man, we know every single down that they're going to be passing the ball and these are junk stats. They've only been blown out once. Like every game.
But they're always passing because they're down in games. So like, I mean.
I think they're always passing because they're a passing team.
But they're not a passing team. When you don't have an offensive line, you're not a passing team. So that's the ineptitude of the head coaching staff, right?
I just think they're a passing team because that's what they're better at than running the ball.
Then why'd you pay $12.5 million to Joe Mixon?
You gotta pay somebody.
No, you don't. You really, really don't.
And we know that.
You really don't. Jerry Jones agrees with me. No, you don't. You do not have to pay anybody if you don't want to pay them. They did not have to pay Joe Mixon. In fact, it's not like Joe Mixon was on the verge of becoming a free agent. I mean, they had a whole other year to go through this. They did it early. So they wasted time and money on a position that they're not even using. Now, to be fair, Mixon has looked really good. They've really relied on him more the last couple of weeks. And this past weekend, the Bengals finally did something I was a fan of. They threw the ball less. Only 30 pass attempts. All right, only 30 pass attempts. And I'm fine. And by the way, if they have an offensive line and he's throwing for 40-plus times, more power to you, dude, because, hey, you could at least be protected. But you've been hit 22 times more than anybody else. That's insane as far as that's concerned. Jake goes on to say that the offensive line, that's not an excuse, that's a fact. But, Jake, we've been talking about offensive line being a factor for the Bengals as an issue for how many years now? And who's to say it's going to get better anytime soon? I have zero faith and zero trust that O-line's going to get better. And in the meantime, he's just a sitting duck. And I think by the time they do figure it out, it could be too late. I'm putting my stock in Justin Herbert moving forward. If I have to rank the quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Burrow, it's obviously an easy second because Tua hasn't played yet, and Jordan Love is still the backup with the Packers. But Tua Tagovailoa, like, this is why you got to start him. You're not winning if you're the Dolphins. What are you waiting for?
They just beat the Niners.
What are you waiting for? But you're going nowhere fast. In fact, the more you win with Fitzpatrick, you're hurting your team because you're moving further and further from a draft pick, and you're going to get to the end of the year and not know who you are.
From the jump.
It's not really tanking. It's finding out what you have. You also have, I mean, if there's all these concerns about Tua and you don't know if he's your guy, there's a couple really good quarterbacks in the draft next year that are coming out, which I would make fun of the Dolphins because if in the last couple of years they could have ended up with Josh Rosen and Tua Tagovailoa and still are in a position to potentially get a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields, holy smokes. Maybe the Bengals fans were onto something about talking about how they're not the worst organization in football because the Dolphins seem to be a complete mess as far as, I mean, they're going nowhere fast. They make enough changes to look like they've improved, but they're running in place as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, it's very difficult.
So what would be a good season for the Dolphins?
I don't care if they go 0-16 as long as it's with, which they won't, but with Tua Tagovailoa. You should be moving forward to something. What are you accomplishing this year? What are you doing? Do you think Tua is really getting that much better in practice? So next year, the very first time he steps foot out on the field, he's technically a rookie at that point. He's technically a rookie.
So if the Dolphins make the wild card with Fitzpatrick starting all season, is that a good season or a bad season?
Say that again?
If the Dolphins make the new wild card spot in the NFL playoffs, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's pointless. I mean, it's good to make the playoffs, don't get me wrong. But big picture, did you draft Tua just to be, I mean, like, look at the Packers. They drafted Jordan Love as a backup, as a, hey, let's just see what happens here, but we know what we have. The Dolphins aren't in that situation. The Dolphins are trying to act like they're in control of what they're doing, and they're not. The only reason you were in position to draft Tua is because how bad you are to begin with. So there's that. I don't see what you're accomplishing by sitting him. Look, I mean, the Chargers they already know they got the guy. And that's with the head coach who doesn't believe in them. That's with a questionable roster, with the city that's not, their fans aren't that great. There's so much working against Justin Herbert, and he's doing more with that than what Burrow's doing with an organization that spent $160 million in the offseason, that has a fan base that's drooling over the kid. I think if you look at Burrow, he has more going for him than what Herbert does with the Chargers. And we've already seen more. There goes that. We've already seen more.
I know a certain engineer that would have put his hands around your throat.
The lid's on. The lid's on, and nothing spilt. Nothing spilt as far as that's concerned. Grover Thompson on Facebook says, you are right. No way Burrow could have gone 0-4 with that Chargers team. Maybe.
Well, that's not. I mean, it's not like they're getting smoked. They lost every game by less than 7 points, and they're in the game. Like, not even like score wise. Like, they're literally either driving to win the game or they're trying to prevent the other team from scoring to win the game. The Chargers games, like this is all their games are going down to the wire. Not like, oh man, we had a chance. If we'd have converted that fourth down, we still would have had a chance, or if we would have stopped them, we'd have got a punt and we'd have had a chance. Like, no, literally, the clock is hitting 0 as the game ends, and all these Chargers losses. Like, you got to give them.
Oh, you're talking about the Chargers?
Yeah. I'm talking
about the Bengals.
Yeah,
because the Bengals are close too.
Yeah,
outside of the Ravens. 23-23 tie with the Eagles. The Browns, they lost by 5. You lost by, if you make a field goal in week 1 and you're 1-0 to start the year. So they've been close too, but it's weird though, because look how many close games the Bengals have lost, and they feel like devastating losses. Last night, Justin Herbert loses in overtime to the Saints, and it feels like we're talking about him coming away with a win last night. It's like it's just the mood around the teams is different. It just feels like the Chargers are further ahead, and they are from a talent perspective, yes. But I just think it's a lot of it because of Justin Herbert too. Yes, I know the Bengals have a bad offensive line, but how many guys around the league, how many quarterbacks have bad situations? They all have lemons. Who makes the best lemonade? And right now, Joe Burrows is the sourest of them all. By the way, I have some lemonade right here.
Look at
this is what I almost spilled all over everything.
It's funny you say the whole thing about it's like we're treating Justin Herbert like he won the game. I saw a meme that says, y'all lost, I won. With him standing there doing kind of like the Joey Bosa shrug and everything like that. So it was pretty funny.
Oh, my goodness. And by the way, more Facebook reaction coming in. Let's go to Ron Moreland. Bengals always been a passing team. Justin, get your stuff together. What does that have to do with anything? I said, for one, they want to be a pass. I want to be tall, Ron. I want to be tall. I want to be tall and skinny. It doesn't make me tall and skinny, Ron. The Bengals want to be a passing team, but they don't have an offensive line to be a passing team. Like when parents tell their kids you could be anything you want, they are so full of it. It's not even funny.
Oh,
I want to be tall and skinny. I cannot be tall and skinny. All right. I'm taller than my mom and my dad, and I'm 5'5". I have the height in the family. I cannot be tall and skinny. But hey, I can dream. So the Bengals, they want to be a passing team, fine. But with that offensive line, that was my point, Ron. I'm being a smartass. But to be clear, I know what you're saying. Yes, they've always been a passing team, and they've complemented it with a good run game. But you can't be a passing team when you don't have the offensive line to do it. That's my point as far as that's concerned. All right, I'm getting a lot on Facebook. We're going to get to more of your reactions. 457-9464. Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow? Everyone in this area is going to pick Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert. I'm just being honest. You can't go wrong with either, but I've been more impressed with Justin Herbert right off the bat, who has one less start than Burrow. 457-9464. That's the number to call in, or head to the Facebook page. Search The Justin Kinner Show. And, of course, rip my opinion on there. Leave it in the comments section. We'll read it when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny with a high near 68. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low around 45. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny with a high near 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from The Justin Kinner Show, and I wanted to take some time to tell you about my great experiences with CertaPro Painters. That's right, my experiences, as in more than one. I've had CertaPro Painters complete quite a few painting projects for me over the years, and every time they knock it out of the park, whether it was the Ohio State themed office with the Buckeye stripe wrapped around the room, or when they painted my entire house before move-in day, I could not believe that they knocked out our entire house in just one day. CertaPro Painters knows how to get the job done right, and most importantly, safely during these times. They deliver what they promise. They show up on time, they get the job done right and on budget. Whether it is residential or commercial, interior or exterior, CertaPro Painters will take care of you from the first initial free estimate all the way up to the final brush of paint on your project. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They are a local business that you can support. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Yeah, sure, the players bring some skill to the game, but if I don't put them in my lineup, who cares? Not me. I'm Eric Rubino, fantasy baseball GM and league runner-up 2 of the last 9 years. I use the Progressive Name Your Price tool with options based on my budget. And for a guy that's used to being in control, it fits. Like this runner-up t-shirt. Champ gets a trophy, but you can't wear a trophy. Boom.
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Where is your haircut gone? We know you don't get out as much. You don't drive by your regular Sport Clips and pop in for that MVP haircut experience that is so much more than a haircut. But isn't it worth getting out for? For that legendary hot steam towel for your face, massaging shampoo that makes you melt into your seat. Oh man, you remember that, right? We found your haircut. It's right where you left it. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Election Day is November 3rd. If you plan to vote by mail, plan ahead at usps.com/votinginfo. There you will find helpful resources, such as guidance for successfully using the mail, links to find your state's rules and deadlines, information for military and overseas voters, and more. The U.S. Postal Service is ready to deliver for you. Make sure you're ready too. Start today at usps.com/votinginfo.
O'Reilly. This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's the big building material and home improvement auction online in Worcester, Ohio at the Wayne County Fairgrounds. Kitchens, flooring, doors, trim, plumbing, lighting, tools, and unclaimed freight online at pbauctions.com. Bidding has begun, and it all ends Thursday at 12 noon. Go to pbauctions.com and register to bid in the Wayne County Fairgrounds online auction. Live previews Wednesday and Thursday, and the auction ends starting at 12 noon Thursday. So go to pbauctions.com, and we'll see you online at the auction.
David Brandon will make an excellent probate judge.
Dave has a reputation as somebody who you can trust. David's experience in probate matters is extensive. It isn't just that he knows the law, though. It's that he cares and why that matters.
David was there for me, and I feel like he'll be there for other families as well. He knows the right thing to do.
The guy's one of the hardest working guys I've ever met in my life. Dayton Brandon will work hard for the families of Montgomery County.
Vote for me for Montgomery County Probate Court Judge. I'm David Brandon, and I approve this message.
Now at Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Chamberlain Belt Drive garage door openers have MyQ technology, allowing you to open and close or monitor your garage door from anywhere with your smartphone. All Chamberlain garage door openers are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through October 17th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
They can bulge, go bald, wear down, flatten, or be in dire need of replacing.
No, guys, it's not you.
We're talking about your tires. Let Fat Boys get your car rolling again, safe and sound. Fat Boys carries tires in all makes, styles, and sizes,
including Continental, Goodyear, Michelin, and more.
Check out Fat Boys' new location in North Dayton
at the corner of Needmore and I-75
or 3050 Springboro Pike in South Dayton.
Fat Boys, your ultimate resource for wheels, tires, service, and accessories.
Look for Fat Boys at fatboysdayton.com.
Before your next flooring job, make Lowe's your first stop. See the latest styles in our new flooring showroom. We carry more tile, more vinyl, more laminate, and hardwood than ever before. Whatever you need, we have the job lot quantities you expect at bulk pricing to save you money. Shop in store or online at lowesforpros.com. Need materials delivered to your job site? No problem. Our pro team can help you get the job done right and on time. It's just one more reason why Lowe's is the new home for pros. U.S. only.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Audible now gives you thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all in one place. The new Audible is your playlist for life. Download the Audible app to get started.
Follow ESPN 1410 Wing AM on Facebook to watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Listen, stream, and now watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Back to the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great weekend and a great Monday and a great Tuesday. We still got plenty more to get into. I'm looking forward to our conversation coming up around the corner. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll, of course, chat with him about Week 5 of the NFL season, which I keep talking about it as if it's in past tense. Technically, Week 5 is not wrapped up. We're well on our way to prepping for Week 6, which has a ton of big matchups this weekend, including the Chiefs and the Bills. We'll find out just how real the Bills are. The Chiefs are coming off of an upset loss against the Raiders, or was it an upset? We'll talk about that with Jason Fitz. His Raiders getting the win over the Chiefs over the weekend, plus Big Ben against Baker. Myles Garrett, first time he'll go up against the Steelers since, well, basically using Rudolph as a pinata a year ago. So we'll find out just how for real this Browns team is. And to be fair, we might find out how if your Pittsburgh Steelers are for real. We don't know. It's been a while since we've seen Pittsburgh look like Pittsburgh. So we'll find out. It's going to be a good game this weekend.
Question for you. Since this is the last game of Week 5, right? Mm-hmm. Does Buffalo and Tennessee, do they play again this coming Sunday as well?
I need to pull up their schedules for this coming up weekend to find out. They have to. I would assume they would. I didn't, and I have to check because they moved a lot. They moved a lot of games around. Look, I mean, these are some of those sacrifices that these teams are going to have to make. But again, I'm fine with it if it's incidental, like how you catch the virus. But whenever you go against COVID protocols and then you push games back, Tennessee has no right to be upset. But if I'm Buffalo, I'm a little concerned, especially if you have to play on a Tuesday and now you have one less day to prepare for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, who are coming off of a loss, and the chances of them losing 2 in a row are very slim. The chances of them and Patrick Mahomes, reigning Super Bowl MVP, having back-to-back average weeks, I don't anticipate that happening. So you have the Chiefs on a short week. That's tough. That's going to be a tough one for the Bills, as far as I'm concerned. We are live on Facebook.
All right, I got the answer to that if you want it.
Go ahead.
So Tennessee, yes, Tennessee is scheduled to play this Sunday. Dang, where did it go? They play the Texans.
Okay.
They play the Texans, and then Tennessee, they play
Tennessee has the Texans.
Yes.
Buffalo.
And then Buffalo has the Chiefs on Monday, though.
Okay, so they moved it. So that's fine.
Monday
but again, still technically, I mean, the beauty part of having Monday Night Football is that extra off day. But technically, you don't get that extra off day playing on Monday this time because you're playing on a Tuesday. Regardless, I'm looking forward to that matchup. That's going to be a good one as far as I'm concerned. But a lot of big games coming up this weekend. We'll talk more about that with Jason Fitz coming up around the corner. We'll recap some of the big games of college football this past weekend, as well as look ahead. Alabama, Georgia coming up. That's a big one as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's get back to the reactions on Facebook. Again, we opened up discussing Joe Burrow against Justin Herbert. Joe Burrow, he owned all the attention for the first couple of weeks with how impressive he has looked, at least from a poise standpoint. But here's the deal. I said that after what I saw last night, Justin Herbert has just as many deficiencies with the team that he plays on. Maybe not so much the player. I'm not talking about his deficiencies. I'm not talking about Burrow's deficiencies. I'm talking about the roster deficiencies. The Chargers are a better roster technically than the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a better offensive line technically than the Cincinnati Bengals. But at the end of the day, the Chargers are a dysfunctional franchise as well. They're a hot mess as well. Even when they had a good quarterback, and Kevin and I have debated whether or not, just how good Phillip Rivers was, they still found ways to screw it up. They couldn't get it done in the playoffs. They were never able to go to that next step. And then you finally, get a good quarterback in Justin Herbert, and instead of starting him right away and trying to figure out what you have, the head coach wasted everyone's time trying to convince us that Herbert was no good, that he wasn't ready for the NFL. Well, does this look like a guy that's not ready for the NFL that has a QBR of about 75? All right. And you have Joe Burrow's QBR that's like at 43. Those are only two quarterbacks in the NFL that have a worse QBR than him. And that's Jeff Driscoll, former Bengals quarterback, and Dwayne Haskins. Like, Burrow looked impressive the first couple weeks, but I'm telling you guys right now, you fell in love with that narrative of the 3 straight games of 300 yards plus, but he has not played that well. And you can blame the offensive line all you want. But let's go back to the Facebook feed. Jason Pruitt says, I think that Anthony Munoz could come out of retirement and be better than anyone they have on that O-line right now. No arguments here. I agree with you completely. Tyler Fife. Tyler, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And by the way, while we are reacting on Facebook, we will open up the phone lines at 457-9464. If you'd like to call in there, you're more than welcome. Fife says, Justin, let me ask you this. How can you judge Joe Burrow with a horrible offensive line? We have seen what they can do when they protect him against the Jaguars. Now, I know their defensive line is horrible. I'm not trying to bash you, I promise. So, Tyler, even if you were, I'm used to it by now. But I appreciate the soft landing there at the end. I know what you're saying. How could we get a true view and grasp of who Joe Burrow is? But that's the thing. Like, you can't just pretend that you noticed the good with Joe Burrow with the offensive line and then ignore the bad. And I think the one thing that we haven't had someone to compare Joe Burrow to from a rookie standpoint until Justin Herbert has officially got the green light to start. And last night, just for the 4th straight game that we've got to see him start, now there's a little bit of that built-up comparisons. And let's be clear here. Here's the differences in Justin Herbert versus Joe Burrow. Kev, you bring this up all the time. The long ball.
Yeah.
Like, Joe Burrow right now is throwing the ball 200-plus times. That's more than anyone else in the NFL. You know how many times Justin Herbert has thrown the ball for?
I would imagine like 90.
141.
Okay.
So he has a higher clip of passes too. He's one of the, and he's one less start than most of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Herbert has completed 97 of his 141 passes for 1,195 yards, basically 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Joe Burrow, who's completed 135 passes compared to only 97 completed passes for Herbert. Don't you think that the total yards for him would be significantly more?
Yeah.
And it's not. He's only thrown for 100 more yards than Justin Herbert. He has thrown the ball. I mean, you look at 97. He's thrown the ball almost 40 more times than Justin Herbert and only has 100 more passing yards than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is a big play arm. He's a playmaker. He is more of what you see from a Patrick Mahomes. He is more of what you see in the passing game at times with Lamar Jackson and some of the top passing quarterbacks in the league. Joe Burrow is all about the short dink and dunk passes, and heck, the defense
that's the offense. To catch up with. That's the McVay offense that they're trying to bring to Cincinnati. And to be perfectly honest, I think the problem with that offense is you have home run type of wide receivers. Like, we don't know AJ Green for the short, catch it short and take it to the house. We know him. I'm just going to run past you and jump and catch it and then take it to the house. Me being a Florida State fan, I know Auden Tate from his Florida State days where he's a jump ball receiver. Watching the rookie last year when he was in Clemson and everything like that, he was a long ball receiver. So these shorter routes that they're running, I don't necessarily think they have the personnel to run those shorter routes and to, take them to the house and everything like that. I don't necessarily believe that's the best offense for the receivers. Now, you can argue maybe it's the best offense for Joey B, and they just have to adapt and everything like that. But I just don't think the weapons around them are built for that. Because, you think back to the Andy Dalton days, you remember AJ Green with the 40 and 30-yard bomb receptions. You don't remember him running square ends for 10 yards.
Yep.
It was the long ball.
And keep in mind, too, like one of my last memories of AJ Green being healthy, I believe it was Baker's rookie year. And again, that's with the Browns. I get it. But Andy Dalton and the Bengals had I think they were off to like a 3-1 start. They were off to a hot start. I remember they played, I believe, the Ravens. They took it to the Ravens that year too, by the way. They scored 28 points in the first half. And I think Andy Dalton had connected on 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter or the first half with AJ Green. I mean, literally they were unstoppable. That was Andy Dalton, who we deemed as a game manager. Andy Dalton had more pop in his arm at times. I mean, I've seen bigger plays with the arm of Andy Dalton than I have of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's on the ball 207 times, and he only has 100 more yards than a guy who's thrown the ball 97 times. Like, that's insane to me. I can't comment, but that's the big playability of the arm of Justin Herbert, and that's more of what, again, every NFL team has a different offensive style attack. But you could tell where I'm vibing because
I'm not comfortable with the Browns offense unless they're making those big plays. Like
Right.
I like the
Splash
style of,
plays.
and I think the splash plays are where you need to live and die, because I think in close games sometimes you're not going to have those splash plays every single possession. But man, sometimes you're going to look back and say the big playmaking ability with the arms of Patrick Mahomes. Baker's had a couple of those last couple of weeks with OBJ. OBJ didn't have a great game this last weekend, but there was a few possessions that separated the Browns from the Colts because they were able to get in field goal position and get deep into Colts territory because they were able to complete, connect on some deep passes down the middle. I love that style of offense. That's just my preference as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying Joe Burrow's a bad quarterback. I'm just taking Justin Herbert at this point over. I think that Justin Herbert, long-term, has the tools to be a better quarterback. Joe Burrow's going to win some games and win a lot of games, but you've talked about it. I mean, not being able to make that big play, it's fine at first because we're judging him based on rookie standards. But the longer he's a quarterback and you start looking at the top quarterbacks in the league versus the mid-tier and the bottom tier, which we'll get into eventually. We didn't get into that yesterday. Joe Burrow, if he can't connect on those big passes, that's what's going to separate him from the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, you have to be able to make those splash plays. You can't expect your offense to basically drive it 80 yards down the field for touchdowns every play. I mean, every time you take the series, you need to make a chunk. You need to make plays of 30 yards on those drives. A person that is good for that is my guy, Russell Wilson. Like, he is the definition of splash play. It'll be a splash play with his legs, be it a splash play over the top of the defense. I mean, shoot, look at Aaron Rodgers. He is a splash play. Splash plays not only ignite your offense, ignites the crowd when we used to be able to go to the games. Yeah. But when you're just constantly 4 yards, 5 yards, a score is a score, but a splash play works better. Like,
good defenses will take those little yardages away. That's my big point about that. Good defenses will take those away, and we saw that this past weekend against the Ravens, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and they're gambling on you. Like, all right, you're going to try to drive it 15 plays on the Ravens defense. Not going to happen. You're not going to drive the ball 15 plays on the Ravens, on the Steelers, on Buffalo. You're probably going to turn it over. It's probably going to be a turnover if you're on the field 15 plays. That's why you need to make chunk plays. Chunk plays get you into field goal range.
All right, we're going to 457-9464. It's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. So I'm looking at these Facebook comments and people are getting fired up. I am very well aware that you need time to throw the ball and that you need time to connect on the deep balls. But let me ask you, Bengals fans, you're getting fired up here, but I need you to answer a serious question. They need an offensive line. They needed an offensive line last year. They needed one the year before that, and the year. I mean, it's going to be 2021 before we'll still be asking the same questions. The last time they had an okay offensive line was 2015. Like, so again, you guys keep saying all of these things, but to sit there and say, well, they need an offensive line, so as soon as they get one, folks, you guys were saying the same thing back in 2016, and here we are 5 years later, and we still don't know when they're going to get that offensive line. So that's why, for me, I'm rolling with Justin Herbert as far as that's concerned. I have more trust that the Chargers, who I don't really care for their organization, but I trust that they're going to put better pieces and that they're going to protect their quarterback better. And by the way, it's not as if Justin Herbert's going up against bad teams and bad defensive lines. The Saints were the top pass rushing teams in football, and he played just fine last night as far as I'm concerned. 457-9464. Let's go to Rob. Rob in Dayton, how are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, just want to start this off by saying I am a Bengals fan.
Okay.
But we got to stop acting like the Chargers line isn't bad as well. The Chargers don't have a good line either. We all know the Bengals don't. The Bengals don't have a good line. But let me ask Bengals fans this, because I try to be a realist about this.
Mm-hmm.
How many throws has Burrow made that where you just go, wow, how'd he make that throw? I can count one this season through 5 games. Justin Herbert made 3 or 4 just last night. It made me say, wow. Okay, now, and I'm not trying to dog on my Bengals here, but through 5 games, Justin Herbert looks like the better quarterback.
And that, me and you are on the same page as far as that goes. And just to I'm going to set the precedent once more time. I'm not bashing Joe Burrow either. I like Joe Burrow. This is between the two, though, I'm more impressed with Herbert right now, who I think is, if it keeps at this pace, he'll win Rookie of the Year as far as that's concerned. But no, I agree with you about the Chargers offensive line as well. In fact, they had a bad offensive line when healthy, and they were without 2 of their starting offensive linemen last night as far as that goes. While you're on with this, Rob, I'm going to read a couple Facebook reactions here too. Doug Morgan says, David Shaw says, Joe Burrow isn't Russell Wilson. It's not fair to compare the two. I don't expect Joe Burrow to be Russell Wilson at this exact moment, but I mean, there needs to be a little bit of making lemonade out of lemons, the way we saw Burrow, or the way we saw Wilson do, who was not supposed to be the starter his rookie year. Better roster, though, as far as that's concerned.
Us Bengals fans, we talked all offseason and convinced ourselves that we had, from what I was being told, the top 5 weapons in the NFL. And now we're saying he don't have any weapons.
I agree.
All Herbert has is Keenan Allen and Henry, the tight end.
Which he did not have Keenan Allen last night.
And he lost his running back, Eckler. He's doing it with backed up running back. And like I said, it's also a bad line. Now, he does have a lot better defense. I will say that. But, I mean, we got to take our blindfolds off through 5 games. Herbert's a better quarterback.
Yep, and that's not saying that Joe Burrow's not a good quarterback. It's just, I think both could be true. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. Both could be true. Joe Burrow's still a good quarterback, but Justin Herbert's just better right now. And it's because the Chargers, the way they use him differently, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, that offensive line's so bad, it is tough to get a true test of who Joe Burrow is.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks, Justin.
Hey, Rob, anytime. Call back anytime, man. I appreciate it. Take care. All right, good stuff there. 457-9464 is the number to call in and join in on the conversation. I see quite a few of you guys on hold. We're going to get to your calls, more of your takes, and your Facebook takes. When we come back, more of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Wake up, Ohio, to what's going on in Columbus. The former House Speaker indicted for bribery. The majority ignoring medical experts and how COVID-19 impacts our jobs, health, schools, and local businesses. Giving huge tax breaks for millionaires and corporations. We can do better, and I'm a problem solver committed to fighting for hardworking families. My name is Erin Rosiello, candidate for Ohio House District 62, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Erin Rosiello, at your service.
The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City, Ohio is hiring for warehouse positions in all units, which include flexible schedules, career growth opportunities, best-in-class benefits, and competitive starting wages. Interested candidates should call 937-669-9109 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. Apply online at jobs.meyer.com. Search distribution and enter Tip City. Once again, call 937-669-9109 for an interview. We look forward to you joining the team at Meyer. Meyer is an equal opportunity employer.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best networks, same as big carriers, but for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, for up to 50% less than the big carriers. No contract, full coverage, 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for a table at a restaurant.
Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, oh, there you are.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
With so many new pet owners, Kezia's Grooming can't keep up.
Kezia's Grooming? Sorry, we'll book solid through the weekend. I can give you a call back, though, if something opens up.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Remember being in your favorite sport clips, getting set for that great MVP haircut experience? Yeah, how about if we made that wait even shorter? Now, with Sport Clips On Deck text alerts, when you check in online or with our app, we'll text you a 15-minute heads up when it's time to head in. And when you're the next man up, you'll get another text to come take your seat. Less wait time, more prime time. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
O'Reilly. Ready for an oil change? O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need. Our professional parts people can suggest the best products for your car and budget. Like 5 parts of Valvoline conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter. Everyday low price, just $26.99. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
We're at Windy Knoll Golf Club today in Springfield, Ohio. This is my first time here, and I'm in love already. This totally unique course is Central Ohio's premier link-style golf course, and it's open to the public. I'm standing on the tee at the 6th hole. This par 4 is a dogleg left with some teeth. Water hugs the left side of the fairway all the way to the hole. I push my drive to the right. No surprise there. I get a decent lie in the rough and punch out and up the fairway. My third shot lands to the left front of the green, missing the large bunker on the right. I chip on and stop about 7 feet from the hole. I get lucky on a right to left breaking putt, and I'm in the hole for a bogey 5. I'll take it. You're in for a great test of your game when you play this link-style course. Get your pals together, book a tee time, and come out and play Windy Knoll. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Windy Knoll and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save for driving safely. Save for driving less with pay-per-mile insurance. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. Savings based on early signing, discount drive-bys, and mile wise. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Smoothbrook, Illinois.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing. We can help you with your wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time to replace them. We've got great deals on wipers that can stand up to any weather. Right now, you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Rain-X Quantum wiper blades. And with our next day delivery and free same-day store pickup, you can get them fast. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
Buckeye fans, the season is finally here. No, for real this time. ESPN 1410 Wing AM is Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Join us for the season opener on Saturday, October 24th, when Ohio State welcomes in Nebraska. Every tackle, every touchdown, and every Buckeyes win. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM. So the Sunday morning tailgate show live from Frickers on 741 is making its return. Not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday. That's right. The first Sunday morning after Ohio State beats Nebraska. We'll be live at Frickers on 741. And, of course, we're looking forward to bringing that back. Myself and Keith Byers will be live at Frickers on 741 for the Sunday morning tailgate show. We'll be getting you set for all the day's action, again, of that week's NFL games, as well as recapping the Buckeyes from the day before. And coincidentally enough, Bengals, Browns. That's going to be a fun one coming up around the corner. I know Bengals fans are huge fans of mine as far as that's concerned. All right, let's go back to the Facebook comments, and we're going to get your phone calls in just 10 seconds. Shaw says, put Herbert in this offense, in the offensive line, and they looked the exact same. Maybe. I'm still telling you right now, I am more impressed with the big playmaking ability of the arm of Justin Herbert than I am of Joe Burrow. That'll change maybe, but as of right now, what I saw last night, Justin Herbert on a bad Chargers team looks better than Joe Burrow on a bad Bengals team. And sure, the Bengals are worse than the Chargers, but everyone has lemons. I'm all about who makes the best lemonade with them lemons. And right now, Justin Herbert's lemonade's pretty good. Pretty good. So we'll see.
I'm gonna pull up a question for you because I want to check something before I ask you this question so we can go to the phones.
Let's go to the phone. Let's go to Charlie. Charlie, what's up, man? How are you?
This is Steve.
Steve, my bad. How are you, sir? Welcome in, Steve.
I'm all right. I agree with you that Herbert's a better looking so far, but here's a question for you, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert or Mayfield?
Oh, Herbert.
All day long. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Herbert. Right now, from what I've seen so far, but to be fair, I think Baker looked better in his first 5 rookie games than what Herbert has. Now, but that's the thing. Everything changes. So that's why Bengals fans are getting upset with me. Baker looked, he looked like he was a big playmaker as well his first 5 games as a rookie when there's limited tape. That's what everyone kept saying. There's limited tape on him. When teams figure you out, how do you adjust? And right now, Justin Herbert's having a field day. And, as teams catch up with him, he's going to change. And then maybe by the end of the year, it's back to Burrow is the better of the two. But just right now, I just like Justin Herbert a little bit better. But I'm also not going to deny that the offensive line for the Bengals has kept Joe Burrow from taking that next step. So I will acknowledge that.
Yeah, but what do you think? How do you think Baker looked yesterday? I mean, honestly, or not yesterday, but Sunday.
I love the way he looked until the second half, and then it was old Baker. But I thought it was interesting that Stefanski opened up the offense for him. I've been, talking about that the last couple of weeks, that they've really been keeping him in a box. I mean, he's been averaging 150 to 175 passing yards a game. I'm like, man, that's like the ultimate game manager role. But they opened it up a little bit. I wanted to see how he would handle an offense if they took the run game away. How would they be able to respond with the passing game? Obviously, that turnover bug is still a big part of his game, and I think that's the biggest concern moving forward. I was not happy about that, but as I said yesterday, Steve, the Browns got a win on a day that Baker didn't play good in the second half. They lose that game a year ago, so I guess that's growth.
Well, last question for you. Drew Brees, I think this has got to be his last year. He's had way too many halves where he's looked terrible. He looked awful in the first half. Now they got the win. But he's not the same guy, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. And here's the scary part about Drew Brees. Drew Brees usually plays his best football to start the season. Then he gradually gets worse as the year goes on, especially towards the back end. So if this is Drew Brees to start the year, how bad is he going to look at the tail end? Again, basing that off of patterns of his play and decrease in play as time goes on. So, but Steve, thank you for the call, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, Drew Brees, I would be concerned about that in the back end. But let's go to Charlie. Charlie, what's up, man? You're up.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
As far as Drew Brees, I thought I heard a week or two ago that they had to talk him into coming back this year. Do you know about that?
Well, he was about to retire. Remember, there were rumors that he had come out and said that he really wasn't set on playing this year, that he was really on the verge of hanging it up and calling it a career. And he made the late decision to come back. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I'm not privy to that. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes as far as them begging him to come back. But I do believe that the Saints were pretty confident in Hill and obviously going out and getting Winston. I think that they're confident in the guys in their locker room. But I think you always try to get Drew Brees to come back if you have a chance. But that's before you saw that this is the new Drew Brees.
Fair enough. And as far as Burrow goes, man, that first game that we actually played the Chargers, he threw a couple real nice deep balls that one went right through John Ross' hands. The other.
Who's John Ross? Who's John Ross? Has someone checked on him lately? I don't even know if he exists anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of frustrating things right now with the Bengals, but I was watching that Ravens game early, and they show like rankings for the defense. Like the Ravens' run defense is top 5, top 10, but their pass defense was way back in the 20s. And I was just wondering why we were not. It's like, okay, well, he got sacked a bunch, blah blah blah. It's like, I'm with you. Like, why isn't he throwing any deep balls? Like, what is the problem?
Yeah, the Ravens' pass defense isn't one of the best in football, and they had starters out on top of that. So I agree with you. But look, to defend Joe Burrow, I agree with what the guys on Facebook are saying about it's kind of hard to sit back for 3 or 4 Mississippi to throw a deep ball. To allow a play to fully develop, you need time, and he doesn't have that time. But the biggest knock against Joe Burrow, even going back in the preseason, whatever the preseason was, because we didn't get to see games, was the big question mark was his arm strength and his inability to be able to make those, the plays he made in college, for whatever reason, aren't translating into the pro game right now. Again, It's rookie year, 5 games. I'm not beating him up for that. I'm just acknowledging what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, and I don't buy I don't buy for a second he don't have a deep ball, because
we saw it all last year, right?
There's no way you go watch that LSU tape and then you're just like, oh, he just lost it. He's bigger, he's stronger than he was. Like, I don't know if you saw him right before the season started, but he got a lot bigger. And you know what? I kind of wonder if maybe he got hit rocked in that Eagles game. And maybe he's got a little bit of an injury that nobody knows about. Maybe he just doesn't have on the deep ball.
Yeah, that's where the footsteps are coming into play. That's where they're getting rocked early in the season. I mean, we're not even at the halfway point of the season, and he's been sacked 22 times. That's the concern. And you look at Herbert. Herbert's been sacked 7 times in that time frame. So there's a big. That's 2 or 3 games worth of sacks that Joe Burrow has on Justin Herbert, and he's only started 1 more game than Justin Herbert.
Well, and if you think about Tyrod Taylor, you wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known. Nobody would have known that he had cracked ribs, except for when they punctured his lung trying to give him a pain injection. So I'm sure a lot of that goes on, and of course they're not going to talk about it. But some of the throws that he does make, I know what he puts out there is very confident, and I think that's a smart thing to do. But some of the throws, I don't know. And to compare him with Herbert, man, he's just cutting it loose. I don't really know what the difference is, why they're just kind of letting Herbert cut loose, or if he just feels like he don't have the same pressure, or what it is. But, man, and the saddest thing is there is absolutely no chemistry with A.J. Green right now, and that is frustrating the crap out of me, and I don't get it.
No, I'm with you. And Charlie, I appreciate you being patient, hanging out with us here today. As always, man, great hearing from you.
All right, hey, you guys take care.
Adios, man. Appreciate the call. To his point about the Bengals, we got to get over A.J. Green. A.J. Green was gone 3 years ago. Like, I'm not being funny here. I'm being serious. Like, A.J. Green, like, he may be on the roster, but that's not A.J. Green. And, like, with all the issues with that roster, Burrow's timing with A.J. is the last thing on that priority list as far as figuring it out. Because it's not there. I mean, Boyd and others he's connected with on a regular basis. Like, build on that. The T. Higgins, by the way, the new duo moving forward is T. Higgins and Joe Burrow.
But what's going to happen when A.J. Green signs with the Patriots next year and he's putting up 15 yards?
Him, Cam Newton. By the way, Le'Veon Bell.
That's what's going to make everybody mad.
Le'Veon Bell's on the trade block. How much you want to bet you got a Cam Newton, A.J. Green, Le'Veon Bell, Patriots triangle over there? I tell you what.
All playing for $1,000 a game.
The Bengals are the feeder system for the Patriots, as we all know. All right, folks, hour 2 coming up. When we come back, speaking of your Cincinnati Bengals and, of course, the Cleveland Browns at times, Hugh Jackson just revealed in an interview this week, he revealed what his biggest regret was going back to his Cincinnati Bengals days. I'll have that regret for you coming up around the corner. Plus, we'll talk a little college football. Dan Mullen in Florida, he's upset about the home field advantage that the away team had and that his Florida team did not have this past weekend, but he wants the home field advantage for his Florida Gators moving forward. During a pandemic, he wants 90,000 fans in the stands.
Rona.
His quote, followed by what came after his quote, it's irony at its best. And I'll have that for you next. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. That means you can get up to a $25 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of your Superstart battery. Return power, performance, and reliability to your car, truck, motorcycle, and more with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This holiday season, more people will shop online than ever before. So if you're an e-commerce seller, are you ready for a record-breaking holiday season? Be ready with ShipStation, the fastest, easiest way to ship. Just a few clicks and you're managing orders, printing labels, and getting products out fast. That means happier holidays for you and your customers. ShipStation works with all major e-commerce platforms and shopping carts and gives you the best rates available with all major carriers, including USPS, FedEx, and UPS. You can easily compare carriers and choose the best solution every time. You even get exclusive postage discounts, usually reserved for Fortune 500 companies. So, no matter how many orders you need to fill, you'll always get the best deal. No wonder ShipStation is the #1 choice for online sellers. Be ready for the busiest online shopping season yet with ShipStation.com. Try it today free for 60 days with offer code SKY. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and type in SKY. ShipStation. Make ship happen.
What are real people saying about Skechers Arch Fit footwear? Joe from Hilton Head says, I need arch support, and these shoes have it. Joe, Skechers Arch Fit don't just have arch support, they have podiatrist certified arch support that was developed with over 20 years of data. Next, Pete from New York writes, great for walking. I stand a lot of work, and the Arch Fit keeps me comfortable. My feet don't feel tired at the end of the day. Okay, Pete gets it. He's walking, working, just living in Skechers Arch Fit. These shoes are great for virtually everybody. Find podiatrist certified Skechers Arch Fit at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what covering your bases is in baseball, right? Making sure you have no holes in your defense. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. And you'll pay up to 50% less than big carriers and still use their same networks. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data and 2G. No contract, no mystery fees. Fully covering your bases for 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
O'Reilly.
Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with peak long life universal premix antifreeze and coolant. On sale now for just $5.99 after mail-in rebate. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Hi, it's Mike Greenberg letting you know to stay tuned at 3 o'clock later today for the Justin Kinner Show. You can also stream the show live at WINGAM.com.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Real quick, as we close out this Burrow Herbert conversation, we're going to transition into some college football stuff here in just a moment. But Matt Sturgeon says that the Bengals 2020 season, in a nutshell, run the ball, dump the ball short, win 3 or 4 games, keep your quarterback alive, and fire Zach Taylor. First 3 draft picks need to be the O-line. Move on from A.J. Green, John Ross, Bobby Hart, etc. I agree with you 110%, Matt Sturgeon. That was my argument weeks ago about, hey, stop dropping them back 40 to 60 times a game. Good things don't happen. Now, the sad thing is they did what I said, Kev. They only threw the ball 30 times this past weekend against the Ravens, okay? Only 30 times. And I say that only 30 times because that's the least amount of pass attempts in a single game that he has had this year. Guess what, though? He got sacked more times in that one game throwing 30 pass attempts than he did in any other game, including the game where he threw the ball 60-plus times against the Browns, and he's had a couple 40-plus attempted games. Yeah, I mean, Shane Sheridan says, yeah, what Jake said, going back to the offensive line. Look, guys, we can't just dumb it down and say, that the only reason Burrow doesn't look as good as Justin Herbert is because of the offensive line. As I've said, the Chargers' offensive line is not that much more impressive than the Bengals. In fact, last night, the Chargers offensive line, when healthy, is not that much better than the Bengals, and they actually had 2 injuries. 2 guys on their offensive line last night were out. So stop with the offensive line stuff. Herbert was pressured a lot last night. He was on the run a lot. But again, you want to know what they did for the play calling last night, Kev? You see how many times he rolled out?
Yeah.
They rolled him out. Like, they knew that the pressure's coming, so they designed plays for the rollout. Herbert's athletic.
Yeah.
He can throw on the run. I'm not saying Burrow can't do those things, but again, when you know that your pocket's collapsing 1 second into the second you hike the ball, and you're only calling plays that he drops back in that pocket, that's why look, the Browns are doing that with Baker Mayfield too, and they have a good offensive line. But again, that may not be Burrow's style. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Well, he's definitely athletic enough. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Ohio State initially recruited him under Herb, because he can run my offense, which means run the quarterback a ton. And his first year at LSU, there was a ton of that quarterback draw stuff. It wasn't until the last year where he started dropping dimes all over the place. So he's definitely athletic enough to roll out the pocket and, do that type of stuff. I think it's just the system that they're running that isn't really letting out the skills of their offensive weapons the best.
And again, and David Shaw brings at 22 sacks for Burrow compared to Herbert's 9. I could do the math. I am very well aware that 22 is more than 9. You guys, I'm not sitting there saying that the Chargers offensive line is worse than the Bengals. I'm just saying it's not that good either. And the Chargers acknowledge that their offensive line's not good, which is why they do a lot of design plays that roll him out and that are designed to keep him from being a sitting duck in the pocket. That's my point as far as that's concerned. So real quick, and you brought up a point during the break I want to get to, and then Lamar Shelley, he asked this, and I'm curious your thoughts, a little bit of a Buckeye tie-in here.
Hey.
Lamar Shelley says, what if Burrow's arm strength was the reason that he couldn't get on the field at Ohio State? If you remember back to that last year, Joe Burrow versus Dwayne Haskins, and we saw the offense just like unleash under Dwayne Haskins, and we were in awe at the big play-making ability with his arm because we hadn't seen that since that brief 3-game stint to close out the 2014 season for the national championship year with Cardale Jones. Joe Burrow's not making those. Let's be clear. The Ohio State with Haskins didn't make the playoff, but I promise you, if Burrow's the quarterback the same year that Haskins is the quarterback for Ohio State, Burrow's probably not a Heisman finalist at the end of the year. That was because of the big, strong arm and playmaking ability of Dwayne Haskins. Burrow also struggled with that in his first year at LSU. Then you get Joe Brady, you get that new offensive coordinator, and then Joe Burrow looked absolutely unstoppable. But again, that goes back to your point about how unstoppable quarterbacks look in college, because it's easy to look dominant when you have the best offensive line, the best receivers, the best run game, the best everything. Yeah. What do you do when you don't have that when you get to college? Justin Herbert didn't have, he did have Sewell, but he didn't have the best offensive line. He didn't have the best receivers, didn't have the best run game.
Exactly.
And
you
he
can't
looks
name
more
any of those guys. We know that Justin Jefferson went in the first round. We know that Clyde Helaire went in the first round. We know that McQueen went in the first round. Like
14,
the LSU dudes was loaded, man. And that's just, I don't know. I don't even know if it's actually fact. I just see it that way. I always say, okay, what are you doing without these guys? What are you doing without all these other first round picks around you? Because, the quarterback position, especially the way they were playing with LSU last year, was more of a point guard. And that's what I think Joe Burrow is, a point guard. Get the ball out to your playmakers. And there's nothing wrong with that. And people take those things as slights, game manager and point guard. Everybody loves the Aaron Rodgers. Everybody wants their quarterback to be Aaron Rodgers. They want him to be Patrick Mahomes. They want him to be Russell Wilson. So those guys, you talk about outliers, those dudes are outliers. Most dudes are the point guard. Most dudes are the game manager. That is the most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers.
You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say.
That's a fact, though.
4-5 said, I got your facts right here. 457-9464. I'll give the show a call. Kev will get you taken care of, and we'll get you on the air as far as that's concerned. There you go. Yeah, you'll be back. But 457-9464. Okay, so on Facebook again, as far as that goes. But and when Kev gets back on, he'll tell you what we talked about during the break about the experience factor potentially playing a role in that. We're going to get to college football stuff in a moment. I have a Hugh Jackson story for you. He shared what his biggest regret was going back to his days with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's coming up here in a few. What you got?
True American.
Holy smokes, the True American. Is this really you?
Yeah, it's me, dude.
How are you? Happy 4-1. Happy Steelers week.
I'm living in hog heaven football, baby. Loving every minute of it.
This just made my day. I tell you what, we just talked about you yesterday, and I'm so glad to hear your voice.
And then when Sunday we go over to the ketchup field and stomp Squealer's ass, which I guarantee we will. It's time we finally have a coach, general manager, some front office people. We're leading. I think we're leading the league in rushing. Correct, 204 yards.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
The only thing that kind of scares me right now is that back end of that defense. Zandeo, they need to sit him down. He sucks. He gets burnt every time. And I know we lost Delpit, in training camp because they tore the ACL, I think, right?
Yeah, he's out for the year, and even if he's healthy, what does he? As a rookie, I always get concerned about rookies, but man, Ward was good his rookie year, so they just got to get some guys who know what they're doing back there because the defense worries me. They lead the league in takeaways, but man, they still make me uncomfortable watching them play.
And,
defense.
I don't rip. I heard Jerry yesterday. I'm on day shift this week, and I heard Jerry, ripping on my Browns. Now I gave his Raiders when I've seen him up at Frickers. I always give him respect, and he's ripping on the Browns and making all these excuses. I heard him, run his jibs about a win is a win and all this. Well, he's worried because in a couple of weeks when we spank their ass, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's what I told him. I said, you forget that we play the Browns and Raiders play here in a few weeks. So,
What? So Frickers opening the doors back up to you guys, huh?
Absolutely. Not this Sunday, the week from Sunday, October 25th.
And what a great one because we play the Pop Warner team down on the river.
You got all your greatest hits today. I love it.
That will be the greatest thing. I love Colin Turd. Now all of a sudden he's swinging from Cleveland, and acting like they played they're this, they're that, and all the talk he's always hating on Baker and hating on the Browns. I know you got to to be the man, you got to beat the man, and you got to earn your respect. But and I don't want Chubb hurrying back. Correct? We want to keep him for later in the game.
Especially, I agree with you, especially if they're still winning and they're still in the playoff hunt, no pun intended with Kareem Hunt. But if they're still in the playoff hunt, if they can get to the playoffs with Nick Chubb well rested, then my goodness, a dominant run game will only get even more dominant.
There you go. And our offensive line, we have finally got an offensive line. A lot of people don't understand that the Treader last year was hurt about 98% of the time and played with a jacked up ankle and everything. I love that guy. He's a blue-collar, lunch bucket kind of guy that I love. Antonio, Pro Bowler. I love is it Teller? Yeah, the right guard.
Yep.
He's a smash mouth, hand in the dirt, just grind it, and I love it. And I think Wills is going to be a superstar left tackle for us. I really do. And getting Conklin from Tennessee, we finally got an offensive line. And everybody gets all hyped up about the quarterback and wide receiver, running backs, yada, yada, yada. If you don't have them studs up front, it don't matter. And we finally got 5 studs, I believe. So
last year you were real down on OBJ. He's much better this year.
Okay, good. Okay, I want to eat a little crow there.
No, I'm not doing that. I told you so. I'm just seeing if your opinion changed because he's changed a lot of people. Well, he has people on the verge of changing their minds. He's been real effective early.
And it's not just him, Justin, but all these professional athletes. You got all this God-given ability. Just shut your mouth and play, man, and all your critics will go away. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk about stuff off the field. Just play the game, and you'll get more respect. And I know he was hurt last year somewhat. My son, Junior got on me about, Daddy was hurt last year and he still played. Yeah, I get that. But just don't try and draw. And I don't, what I love about Chubb? When he scores, what's he do? It's like you teach your kids in Pee Wee football. Just go hand the ball to the official. You know what I'm saying? The guy's just a mild-mannered. He just goes about his work. I totally respect that kind of athlete today in today's world. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And to go back to your point about the players who do a lot of the talking, as you've seen with Baker and others, you could talk, but you got to win. And if you're winning and talking, it's better. But when you're not winning and you're still talking, that's when you bring a lot of unwanted attention to yourself.
I'm still with Baker. I'm on his bandwagon. What I would love to see, another statement game Sunday, is maybe the running game's not clicking a little bit. I want to see him and a quarterback. I don't want a quarterback that's going to throw for 300 or 400 yards and lose. You know what I'm saying? Padding the stats. I don't care about that. You want to win at the end of the day. But I would like as the year goes on, and I think Baker finally has got a coach he believes in, and let's be honest, all the different coordinators, you know what I'm saying? The kid ain't had a chance, really. The guy's got ability, he can play in the NFL. And let's just, everybody, pump your brakes a little bit, as Stephen A. says. Just pump your brakes on him. But I would like to see sometime down the road this year him kind of take the team on his own shoulders without the running. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying, Justin?
No, that's what I said last week. My big question was, if a defense takes the run game away, how is he good enough to carry them? And last week, the Colts took that run. They stifled it just a little bit, and they went to the pass game. He had 2 interceptions late, but again, he still made enough plays for them to come away with the win, a game that they don't win a year ago.
Right, and I love the Bryant kid. I think he's going to be special, and I just love and. You know who's going to love teeing off Sunday? My boy, Myles Garrett. I hope he just gets a hold of Roethlisberger and just drives him right in the ground, dislocated shoulder. I'd love every second of it. Hey, I'll let you guys go.
There he is. It's been a while. We haven't heard from him since the offseason. Since the offseason. That's the true American. That's Steve from Springboro, the ultimate Browns fan. Definitely.
There. He's representing for his squad. Should be happy they're winning some games, and they're right there.
Got your Steelers coming up, as he calls them, your squealers coming up.
Hey,
this weekend.
We'll see what happens on the field. I mean, him talking about
scared.
No, him talking about what's going to happen isn't going to do anything on the field. Me talking about what's going to happen isn't going to do anything.
But see, that's the thing. Steelers fans, no, you guys are obnoxious. You guys always talk, and you're doing the when the Browns.
When have you ever heard me? We're not talking about the rest of Steeler Nation. We're talking about.
But you do this smug little. We'll see. We'll see. That's louder. That's louder and more obnoxious than the.
That's your own insecurity.
That ain't insecurities. Because I've listened to Steelers fans long enough. Okay, long enough. And then this week, Steelers fans on Facebook and Twitter, they're quiet. And why are they quiet? They didn't all of a sudden learn how to respect the game and just, oh no, we respect our opponent, because they're scared. The Steelers know this ain't the typical Browns team, which you've acknowledged.
When have you heard me say anything out of that is my rhetoric on everything in sports.
Steelers fans are all the same. You may not say it to me, but you say it out there. So there you go. David Shaw says Steelers plus the points and the cover. All right, well, Kev's going to be covering his eyes on Sunday because the Browns are coming away with a win. Hey, when you've done our pick'em segment yet, I'm already telling you, Steelers are losing to the Browns. Hey, don't do this. Hey, even last year, with Freddie frickin' Kitchens leading the way, the Browns beat the Steelers. So, I'm just saying. And that was with the bad Browns team.
Duck Hodges started at quarterback and won.
It wasn't Duck Hodges. It was the other moron quarterback.
No, the other game. So, I'm saying Duck Hodges started another game and won.
Oh, yeah, with all the defense out and injured, no Myles Garrett. Oh, yeah. You're bragging about that? You're bragging about being that.
Hall of Fame quarterback was out. Huh? Our Hall of Fame quarterback was out. You didn't hear me crying.
Yeah.
It's part of the game, man. Injuries are part of the game, dog. It happens.
By the way, every weekend I'm getting the same reactions here. Every week where everyone's rolling their eyes. He's picking they're 4-1. They're 4-1. They're winning games. And people are still mocking me.
The curse of Kenner coming soon.
And I'm picking the Browns, talking us back about the Browns. We're live on Facebook, and I'm repping the Cowboys. I need to get rid of this, though. They're embarrassing right now. Yeah, but the Red Rifle, everyone's excited about the Red Rifle leading the way for the Dallas Cowboys. So there's that. All right, we got college football to get into. I want to talk college football, kind of steered left and steered right, but it was great hearing from Steve from Springboro. How about that? That's how you do. Browns are 4-1. Never talked to Steve from Springboro when the Browns are above 500. So there's that. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the top matchups in college football for this weekend. We'll also talk about Florida. Dan Mullen, he says he wants 90,000 fans in attendance for Florida's matchup with LSU this weekend. He says that they have the safest facilities, that they do it the right way, that they are the safest team in football. But the news that came after that, it's karma at its finest. We'll get to that coming up around the corner. The AP poll is out. Cincinnati moves up. How close can they get? What's the highest they could be ranked? We'll get to all that. Don't go anywhere. Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny with a high near 68. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low around 45. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny with a high near 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
You know when you gotta be somewhere, it's like really urgent. You don't want to do it over the phone. Some things just can't be said with an LOL or an OMG. Some things just need to be done IRL. So you get in your Nissan Altima and drive. Feel the VC turbo engine instantly react to give you more power and efficiency, so you can get where you need to go.
Hey, Eric. What are you doing here?
Like.
Huh?
Your social post. I liked it.
Oh, thank you. There's a button for that, right?
I do.
The Nissan Altima, now offering the most tech-advanced engine in its class. This is tech that helps you be there. This is Nissan Intelligent Mobility. Auto-Pacific segmentation. 2020 Altima Platinum versus latest in-market competitors in the premium midsize class. Available feature. World's first production variable compression turbo engine launched by Nissan Motor Company Limited in 2018.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows. So when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.125%, APR 3.43%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 2.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Yeah, sure, the players bring some skill to the game, but if I don't put them in my lineup, who cares? Not me. I'm Eric Rubino, fantasy baseball GM and league runner-up 2 of the last 9 years. I use the progressive Name Your Price tool with options based on my budget. And for a guy that's used to being in control, it fits. Like this runner-up t-shirt. Champ gets a trophy, but you can't wear a trophy. Boom.
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Where is your haircut gone? We know you don't get out as much. You don't drive by your regular sport clips and pop in for that MVP haircut experience that is so much more than a haircut. But isn't it worth getting out for? For that legendary hot steam towel for your face, massaging shampoo that makes you melt into your seat. Oh man, you remember that, right? We found your haircut. It's right where you left it. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Beware, the forces of hail will rain down upon you.
What the hail?
Storms, the threat of eternal hail.
Who the hell was that, honey?
Hale if I know.
What the hell did he want?
He was hale concerned about us getting a roof inspection.
Hale have a way to tell you about it.
Lance Roofing and Siding is your local expert in everything hail can damage on your home. Have unsightly hail damage? Visit us at lanceroofing.com to schedule your appointment today.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from The Justin Kinner Show, and I wanted to take some time to tell you about my great experiences with CertaPro Painters. That's right, my experiences, as in more than one. I've had CertaPro Painters complete quite a few painting projects for me over the years, and every time they knock it out of the park, whether it was the Ohio State themed office with the Buckeye stripe wrapped around the room, or when they painted my entire house before move-in day, I could not believe that they knocked out our entire house in just one day. CertaPro Painters knows how to get the job done right, and most importantly, safely during these times. They deliver what they promise. They show up on time, they get the job done right and on budget. Whether it is residential or commercial, interior or exterior, CertaPro Painters will take care of you from the first initial free estimate all the way up to the final brush of paint on your project. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They are a local business that you can support. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Election Day is November 3rd. If you plan to vote by mail, plan ahead at USPS.com/votinginfo. There you will find helpful resources, such as guidance for successfully using the mail, links to find your state's rules and deadlines, information for military and overseas voters, and more. The U.S. Postal Service is ready to deliver for you. Make sure you're ready too. Start today at USPS.com/votinginfo.
O'Reilly.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Hey, who wants free money? Who are we kidding? We all do. It's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid cash contest. Listen for the word that wins 18 times a day, starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Enter the keyword at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. It's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid cash contest. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
The ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid cash contest. Your shot to win $1,000. It's another hour. We have another keyword. You have another shot to win $1,000. Head to wingam.com. Click on the #We Want to Get Paid cash contest and enter the winning word for this hour: teeth. 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 Use it in a sentence, you say? The Browns are going to punch the Steelers' teeth down their throat this weekend. Browns over the Steelers. I cannot wait. Submit the word teeth, Teeth, at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. That's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid cash contest $1,000 day giveaway. All right, we've talked a lot of NFL over the last day and a half, and I want to switch gears here and talk about college football. Over the weekend, this was actually, in my opinion, the best weekend of college football since the season kicked off, and it's been a very wonky year. Ryan Day earlier today addressed the media saying that it's been torture watching games every week and them not playing. And I'm with it. I agree from a fan's perspective. It's the same thing, Kev, right? Like torture. I mean, when you're and to be honest, though, the Clemson-Miami game, although Miami proved that they're not back, that Miami is the Texas.
Miami is back.
Miami is the Texas of the ACC. Let's just be clear. Let's just be real here. They're the Texas of the ACC. They're the Tennessee of the SEC. They are all of those teams. There's a good pocket of teams that every year we do that with, that they are back. Texas, Miami, Tennessee. And I really hate putting Tennessee in that category because I really think Miami and Texas have a much more respected history. I'm not saying Tennessee's is bad, but I'm just saying college football needs Miami and Texas more than they need Tennessee. There's enough teams in the SEC. Let's just be clear as far as that goes. But I'm watching the Miami game. I'm watching the Clemson game.
Fun fact about Tennessee.
Oh, fun fact.
You ready?
Fun fact. Oh, yeah.
They were the first champions of the BCS era.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now they are they lost over the past weekend, but we'll get to that in a moment. But the Clemson-Miami game, I sat down to watch that Saturday night. I'm like, man, this is the first game this year where I feel like it just had a big game feel. And I really enjoyed the start to the game. Miami looked okay to start, but look, Clemson, they're head and shoulders better than Miami. They're head and shoulders pretty much better than everyone in college football except for two particular teams and maybe just one. Because what I saw from Alabama this past weekend is a really good offense that I think that the defense of Clemson could stall or at least slow down. But, man, Trevor Lawrence, if they run into Alabama in the playoff, they are going to carve them up like a pumpkin this Halloween. I'm telling you, that defense for Alabama, that's not your typical Nick Saban Alabama defense. But to be clear, not a lot of teams are playing deep. I mean, Alabama gave up 48 to Ole Miss. Texas A&M scored 41 on Florida. Florida scored 38. Notre Dame's giving up 26 to Florida State, which 26 is, that's that fringe. In college football, it's a fringe line. But, there's a lot of points being given up. And no one has really locked teams down defensively. Georgia's looked okay. They won 44-21 over the weekend against Tennessee. But Alabama, I'm sold on them, but I'm not sold on that. That defense will come back and haunt them come playoff time.
What do you think about the whole thing about him possibly, when I'm talking about him, I'm talking about Lane Kiffin, him knowing their calls, kind of a la when the Buccaneers faced the Raiders when John Gruden was the head coach and they were stupid enough not to change their signals?
My thing on that is that, like, when you're going up against your practice team, your guys in practice, they know it's coming. And you still got to execute in practice. Like, that's the thing, though. It's still Ole Miss. They still have a lot of holes, in that roster, Kiffin taking over. Like, let's be clear, though. That's why you watch film. I mean, even if it's Ohio State versus Alabama, and Ohio State watches hours and hours and hours of film on Alabama, you think that they don't know what plays are coming? You think that, as they're making adjustments at the line, so is the defense. The defense is shifting. So I never agree 100% that the defense knowing your plays is what, hurts you, because if the team across from you knows your plays, that's called that they're prepared because they've watched film. Now, unless you have if you've run 100 plays on the year and you have a whole other binder of 100 plays you haven't run, then fine. But I highly doubt that's the case. A lot of the schemes are very similar. So I get what you're saying, and I'm pretty sure that's the case. I mean, look, we all know. I mean, when you have someone on your staff that long, they know your ins and outs. And if anyone knows Nick Saban better than anyone else, it's probably Lane Kiffin, who's a student of the game. I can't stand him. Not a lot of people can, but good for Lane Kiffin. Good for Lane Kiffin. If they did know it and he was able to coach his team and organize his team in a manner that they could take away every little tiny thing from Alabama, to me, that's signs of a good coach.
Yeah.
But if you know what's coming and you've trained and you've coached your team well enough that they know how to stop everything coming their way, kudos for Lane Kiffin. And I don't think he's that good a coach, so I'm not giving him that much credit. That's why I'm saying I don't think that had as much to do with why they gave up so many points.
I think he's a brilliant offensive mind as far as coach and as far as guy. I think he's a slime ball. But let's not forget that Florida Atlantic, when he was the head coach there, he put up 21 on Ohio State. We like to talk about UC and Luke Fickell and everything like that and how good they are. They put up a goose egg on Ohio State. Indiana put up 10 points on Ohio State, a Big Ten team. Then the MAC champs put up 5 points on Ohio State. Then Nebraska put up 7 points. Another Big Ten team. Michigan State put up 10 points. Another Big Ten team. Northwestern put up 3 points. Wisconsin, Big Ten team, 7 points. Maryland, Big Ten team, 21 points. Rutgers, 21 points. Bing, bing. Penn State, 17 points. So we go all the way until the biggest rivalry we have, Michigan, before somebody scored more than Lane Kiffin scored. 27 points by Michigan. So I accredit that just him being smart, and he's a good offensive mind. And the way the game is set up today, it's set up for scoring. You can't touch anybody. You can't hit anybody. It's set up for offense. So if your offense isn't scoring at least 28 points a game, you should be ashamed of yourself in this era of football. Like, this isn't 3 yards in a cloud of dust era. It is set up for your team to score a lot of points. I don't necessarily put a lot of ownership in actual points that you give up. I put it on how many plays it takes you to run get those amount of points. If your defense is creating turnovers as well, getting the ball back to your offense, like, those are more important than punts nowadays. Like, I'm not overwhelmed at how a lot of people are like, oh, they're not playing any defense anymore. Like, well, this is what you want. This is what y'all want, fantasy football players. Y'all want to see scoring. Y'all want to see all these points and everything like that. Y'all don't want it quite Big 12 level, but y'all still want to see a bunch of points. So this is the football that's being played nowadays. I do believe by the time we get deeper into the season, well, SEC gets deeper into their season because other teams have been playing for months now. But I do believe further we go into the season, we're going to see the defenses start to ratchet up, fix things, tweak things, and everything like that. So I'm not over the moon about defenses and the lack thereof just yet. I do think that we're going to start to see some defense here once the weather changes and all that type of stuff.
When the passing game really, you'll find out the pretenders and contenders as far as that goes. That's why I have yet to be like, people are ripping. I follow people on social media that just rip all these teams right now. Oh, they don't look like a real top 5 team. Look at that defense, folks. The reason I'm not commenting on that right now is because there's a good chance Ohio State there are good defensive teams not playing good defensively right now because of timing, because of lack of time on the field. This has been a preseason that was unlike any other. Was it even really a preseason? It was a lot of, it was bad. And I think that Ohio State could potentially face the same thing. I mean, I listen to shows all day that talk about how the offenses have had the advantage coming into this season because of, the lack of, the timing of the defense is, very key. So I'm a little weary. What Ohio State has going for them is that they play some of the worst offenses in college football. Like, let's be clear. At the end of the day, the Big Ten gets a lot of credit for, they're one of the best defensive conferences out there. I don't think it's a matter of them being one of the best defensive conferences out there. I think it's because they don't have as good offenses as a lot of the conferences do. That's not a slight at Ohio State or even Michigan at times, or, even Penn State. But when I talk about the conference, I'm talking about the conference as a whole. On a week in, week out basis, you have an Indiana offense, you have an Iowa offense, you have a Rutgers offense, you have a Maryland offense, you have a lot of bad offenses. Even bad teams in the Big 12 can score a lot of points. That's the biggest difference. So I think sometimes the Big Ten gets too much credit for being the defensive conference. I just think that they are way behind. It's the style of play. They are behind as far as the style of play goes offensively for most teams. Ohio State is up with the times. Michigan is much, that's their biggest knock. And Harbaugh is how he's kept them back because he hasn't adjusted and kind of, moderned up that offense a bit. But it's a bad offensive conference, top to bottom. I should say mid-top to bottom. And that's why I think even the bad Big 12 teams are better offensive teams, have better offensive schemes, have better offensive minds running. That's why I kind of do like Mel Tucker. I like what Mel Tucker could potentially bring to the table for Michigan State because he's going to bring a lot of the same similar schemes that they were doing. He's coached with, at Alabama. He, very good recruiter. I like the Mel Tucker hire. I think it's kind of a boring hire right now because not a lot of people know who he is, but big picture, he brings more to the table than just bringing up some, coordinator under an already current Big Ten team who's running the same boring offenses anyway. So to me, I like the Mel Tucker thing as far as that goes, but the Big Ten, Ohio State, I worry about them starting out defensively early because we've seen it across the board. But what they have going for them is they don't have good offensive teams on their schedule. They have a really bad schedule this year. Penn State might test them early, but I'm not convinced how good Penn State's defense is. I think Ohio State is just going to steamroll everybody because the offenses are ahead of everyone, and Ohio State's offense is already miles ahead of everyone, especially the Big Ten, just because of how good they are.
You look at their schedule and you look at the teams that they play and you look at the teams that, quote unquote, run a modern offense. Nebraska, they just don't have the personnel to compete with Ohio State. You look at Indiana, they run a modern offense. They don't have the personnel. So the only team on there that runs a modern offense that has the personnel is Penn State. And I've been saying it since we've come back for the third time. I think we said we're going to play Big Ten football is anything less than a national championship is a failure. And I'm not that guy. I normally don't do that type of talk. Like, I'm normally the guy that comes in to seasons with reasonable expectations. Like, for instance, I expect the Indians to compete for the AL Central. I expect the Steelers to either win the AFC North and make a playoff run or get the wild card. But my expectations this year for the Buckeyes is a national championship or it's a waste because I don't care what anybody says. In my opinion, all this was done because Ohio State can win a national championship. Big Ten is back because Ohio State can win a national championship. You have an opportunity. We're playing again. Stay Rona free and go win a championship.
That's going to be the key is the Rona and just health in general. With the Rona concerns of we've seen just how, whether it's false positives, real positives, whatever, the positive tests are going to be what make or break teams this year. Forget defenses. It's who's going to be healthier.
Especially in the Big Ten because they're out for 21 days, right? Yeah, if you test positive for COVID in the Big Ten, you're out for 21 days.
So,
which is totally different from any other conference.
Fans, we tell people that, but I don't think it really sets in with people. It's not going to set in with someone until, like, I can't wait for I don't want it to happen. But what I'm saying is the first time it happens, we're going to hear wait, what? That's not fair. By the way, we're already doing that with attendance at games. For instance, when there was talks of no football, what did Buckeye fans say? I don't even care if there's no fans at the games. We just want our football. Well, now you got your football. Well, now what you're going to start hearing is, well, how come we can't have fans at games? Everyone else is having it. Again, we're always going to play that childish game of, well, how come they get it and we don't? We are acknowledging that nothing makes sense in 2020. This isn't a matter of whether I think it's right or wrong to have fans at games. It's just a matter of what happened to the consistency of, who cares about fans at games? We just want Big Ten football back. We just want our Ohio State football. And now we're starting to see fan bases get a little uncomfortable because some fans have, some teams have fans and others don't. This is where the Dan Mullen situation in Florida really gets interesting. Dan Mullen, remember, keep in mind, the state of Florida has opened everything up like full capacity. Like there is no restrictions on capacity at games or anything. If Florida wanted to, they can open up the gates and they could sell out all 90,000 seats in their home stadium. Dan Mullen, closing out the game this past weekend, says he really wants a sold-out 90,000 fan game for LSU coming up this weekend. Of course, reporters have just lit him up for it. And he had this quote, Kev, that I'm going to read, and I find this very ironic considering the next stage of this, the next phase of the story. Kev, he goes, I'll be honest. I think if you look at what we've been able to do, Dan Mullen talking about Florida, the safety precautions that we have, that our players have followed, our coaches follow, our staff follows, I think we are a model of safety of what we've been doing during this time period. Here's my biggest problem with what he had to say there. What the hell does that have to do with 90,000 fans? Because those 90,000 fans aren't rushing the field, especially since you've lost already and your playoff hopes are done. So there's that. Florida every year, every time we try to give them a little push and we try to give them that little shove, they let you down every single time. But what does that have to do? Even if Florida does follow the protocols properly, and so does Ohio State, and a lot of schools at least believe that they do, but it takes one mistake. And sometimes it's not even a mistake. It's just called playing during a pandemic, and you're going to catch it on accident or while not following protocol. Titans. That's why we're having Tuesday night football this week. It's going to happen one way or another. So he says all of that, Kev, which is a stupid response to, what does your players following the safety protocols have to do with why it's okay to justify putting 90,000 fans in a hot box during a pandemic? That makes zero sense. I think he's stupid for that. But here's where the irony comes in. Not even 24 hours after he says that, Kev, number 10, Florida now has 5 new COVID cases on the football team. And I'm not laughing, by the way, at the players who tested positive for COVID. Right. I am laughing at the irony. You literally have a coach who is trying to justify putting 90,000 fans in a stadium during a pandemic and trying to act like what's wrong with that. Even if you don't think there's anything wrong with that, folks, because I don't really want to, I'm tired. Look, we've been doing this since March. I'm tired of the argument of, well, the stats show that COVID's really not. Stop it, people. You're not going to change my mind on that. I ain't going to change your mind on what I think. So let's just give it up. The point is, I think we can all agree that the perception is that's not good when you are urging 90,000 people to gather in a stadium during a pandemic. It's not a good look. So he comes out to defend himself and says, no school out there handles the protocols better than we do. We are the face of safety. Everyone should follow us. Look what we do.
Sounds like politics.
24 hours later, look it. 5 new positive cases on there. Irony at its finest.
Facts. And another thing is something we talked about before was when your team has a little outbreak, don't bash the players because we don't know how they caught it, because there's been plenty of people that have caught COVID that weren't out partying, going to restaurants, going to bars, being, regular people. People have caught it, just surprisingly caught it. So that's one aspect. And then the biggest aspect of it, he wants that home crowd advantage because he felt his team lost because Texas A&M had a ton of fans in the stands, and he was proclaiming that the fans were ruckus and rocky and it helped Texas A&M stay motivated when they were blowing them out early in the game, and their crowd helped them out and everything like that. And he wants that same home field advantage on his team. And you and I both said this was going to happen. We saw this coming from a mile away. When you have some states in some places allowing fans and then some states and places not allowing fans, it was only a matter of time for somebody to lose and for them to start complaining. And you and I both said it's not fair. It should be, hey, man, nobody, until everybody can have fans in the stands. Nobody should have fans in the stands. I totally think it's unfair. It's definitely in college football where the fans have more an effect on the game than the professional game, but it's totally unfair. It's not right. Nobody should have fans in the stands until everybody can have fans in the stands. And they're talking about packing the joint. Bruh, you put 90,000 people in there you about to have 20,000 people with the Rona by Sunday.
So, at this point, again, we've been having these same COVID conversations since March. I'm tired of the COVID's overblown. COVID. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about that. This is just strictly the irony in, hey, no one follows safety better than we do. And then not even 24 hours later, 5 players test positive for the coronavirus. I don't find that the players have tested positive funny, but you can see where the irony comes into the story here, where look, to be that arrogant and that cocky to say we're the face. I mean, we follow all safety precautions. I mean, we are the face of what it's like to be safe here. That is ignorance. That just right there shows how dumb you are, because you can't prevent it from happening. Like, you could do these things to help prevent it, but you are not going. There's no bullet. Actually, the only bulletproof plan to it is the bubble, the NBA. The NBA prove, as much as people like to bash the NBA, they're smarter than every other every sports program or sports conference out there, because the NBA, hockey, I mean, what the NBA just did is beyond impressive, by the way.
Yeah, like, shoot, the NHL, they had 2 bubbles.
Yep. And they figured it out. All right, 457-9464. That's the number to call and join in on the conversation.
All right, great.
Hugh Jackson revealed his biggest regret going back to his Bengals days. We'll get to that in 10 minutes, top of the hour, 5 o'clock. We got a couple of your phone calls we'll get to next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Ohio, wake up to what our state lawmakers are doing. The majority focuses on the former speaker's alleged bribery, virtually ignoring how COVID-19 impacts our jobs, health, schools, and business, even cutting funds for schools and healthcare while keeping tax breaks for millionaires. We can do better. I'm a problem solver who will fight for working families. My name is Erin Rosiello, candidate for Ohio State House District 62, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Erin Rosiello, at your service.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen, as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at Advanced Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations.
After having been restricted in order to preserve PPE for hospitals, many dental offices are now reopening. That's a good thing, because regular dental care ensures that we have good oral health and good overall health. As dentists reopen their offices, you may notice some changes. Your dental office may take your temperature and ask a series of questions related to your health. You may be asked to wait in your car until the dental office is ready for you. You may notice your dentist and staff wearing a different type of face mask or face shield when providing care. All of these changes and more are designed to ensure dental patients are protected. When you make your appointment, ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association, so you know that you're being treated by the very best. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. These ODA member dentists are bound by the highest ethical standards and have access to superior ongoing education, training, and resources. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing. We can help you with your wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time to replace them. We've got great deals on wipers that can stand up to any weather. Right now, you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Rain-X Quantum wiper blades. And with our next day delivery and free same-day store pickup, you can get them fast. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Okay, so did you see that game the other day? The refs, right? I mean, come on. They were totally out to get us. That always happens to our team. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. No-touch freight, home daily lanes. Earn up to $270 per day, $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Apply online, CordellTransportation.com.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
Oktoberfest at Milano's has begun. We're serving our once-a-year favorites like schnitzel sandwiches and German pizza. Get it to go or stay for the games with NFL Sunday Ticket. See you at Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps for big screen football.
The all-new Audible now gives you thousands of select audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all included with membership. Try it for free for 30 days. Visit audible.com.
Buckeye fans, the season is finally here. No, for real this time. ESPN 1410 Wing AM is Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Join us for the season opener on Saturday, October 24th, when Ohio State welcomes in Nebraska. Every tackle, every touchdown, and every Buckeyes win. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz will join us about 35 minutes from now, 11 in the world. Learn to tell time. What's wrong with you, Justin? My goodness, let's start this over. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz will join us 35 minutes from now, 5:30. We'll hear from Jason. We'll talk about your Browns. We'll talk about your Bengals. We'll talk a little Buckeyes. That's all coming up here 35 minutes from now. 5 minutes from now, we'll get into Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson, in an interview on a podcast earlier this week, revealed his biggest regret that goes all the way back to his days with the Cincinnati Bengals. And yeah, his response, Bengals fans, even Browns fans, you'll find very, very interesting. We'll get to that coming up here in just a minute. Let's go to the phones as we close out hour 2. We got Matt waiting on us. Matt, how are you? Welcome in, sir.
Hey, man, how are you? It's Matt Miamisburg. It's been a minute.
Holy smokes. I've heard from a lot of old people today. How about that? Welcome in.
Well, them Buckeyes get close. You're going to do a
right? And we are officially less than 2 weeks away, week and a half. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I've kind of taken a step back from the sporting world to some degree, but, hearing you guys talk, I agree with Kev. I don't think I've called in since Kevin started with you, but I agree with him. I think the days of, the low scoring things are going to be far and few between. I think they'll still happen here and there, but I think the league has definitely transitioned to scoring.
which I think I hate it. I don't know why. I hate it. I hate Big 12 football for that very reason. I don't say I want a defensive slugfest every week.
7-3.
I don't miss the trestle ball by any means, but at the same time, like I like a good balance. And I just feel like right now there's not a good balance. I hated the Alabama game from over the week. I just thought that was bad football.
Yeah, I think Kevin mentioned it earlier, the punt and the turnover have kind of shifted. I liked it when the punt still did mean something, right?
Mm-hmm. Field position and like those kind of battles.
But, and I think you hit the nail on the head too. Ohio State's got the talent to, maybe overcome some of that rust. But I guess my question is, you think the Big Ten in general, Big Ten and Ohio State have somewhat of an advantage because of the extra weeks that they've had here? For instance, Alabama this week, they're focusing, I would say, primarily on Georgia, and they've altered their practice schedule, to focus for this game to where, the last 8 weeks, or by the time Ohio State has played, they'll be 6 or 7 weeks in, everybody else. Is Ohio State still getting to practice more fundamental things right now compared to, Alabama being isolated on, practicing for like a particular opponent?
No, I think that's a great point. Kev, real quick, if you look at Clemson, to go off of Matt's point, Clemson doesn't look as rusty as some of the other teams. And I think the difference between that is here's why, quarterback. They've had the same quarterback for a few years. And to be honest, since JT Barrett, Ohio State has yet to have the same quarterback in back-to-back seasons. And I think, to your point, Matt, yes, the extra time is going to help Ohio State, but this is a veteran-led group now. I mean, that offensive line's all coming back. Sure, you have some new, your Teague's going to get a new set of carries that he didn't get a year ago, but you have Trey Sermon, who's a veteran back, who's going to come in. This is a veteran group, and it starts at quarterback. I think having a seasoned veteran quarterback like Justin Fields is going to fast forward the progress of this Buckeye team, like we're seeing with Clemson. Alabama looks a little rough. Mac Jones got some time last year, but again, I think that team looks like a team that just is trying to get a lot of guys adjusted very quickly.
I agree 100%. I think every Big Ten team has the distinct advantage over all the other conferences that already started.
Until they start struggling, then it'll be about how wonky of an offseason it was.
Because they've actually had way more practice time. A lot of these other schools started in August, and they had 3-4 weeks to prepare, and boom, they're playing games. Ohio State they were practicing in August, stopped practicing, then started practicing again. So they've been practicing for 2 months. So if you don't have your things buttoned up by now, there's a problem with the coaching staff. So I think every Big Ten team has a distinct advantage, especially the Buckeyes, because they have the superior talent, they have the superior coaching. And I'm going to keep on harping on this, and people are going to get, they're going to start treating me like they treat Kenner. But if Ohio State does not bring home a national championship, this season is a failure. And
I'm with you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I feel like you nailed that one too. I feel like there is a season because Ohio State has a chance, right? I mean, I think that was a big push for it, And when I watch these games these last couple of weeks, especially in the SEC, I'm no athlete, I guess, but the angles look off. Defensive tackling, you see a lot of missed tackles, pursuit angles look off. So I'm hoping Ryan Day's really focusing on that, and I think there's another advantage here too, right? So sitting by, being idle, you're kind of hovering around in the polls in the same spot. And you're seeing, you see Texas lose, you see Oklahoma lose twice, you see Florida lose, right? You're seeing these big names, big programs go down. I wonder if that doesn't help the mindset too for every Big Ten team out there. Look, we've seen these guys get ate up already. You know what I mean? So when they go into it, maybe they know, man, these teams already got a loss. They already got 2 losses. Mm-hmm. If we stay focused, and maybe in real time, it's just easier for the Big Ten. Because they've seen all these other teams, some of it's, self-cannibalization, I guess. You got Alabama and Georgia playing each other, 3-5 weeks into the season, you got a loss, but it's just such a weird perspective, with the Big Ten sitting idle. I just wonder if that's an advantage too. So good talking to you guys, and I'll get back at you.
All right, good, man. Take care, man. He brings up a good point. He brings up Georgia, by the way. I will say this, my prediction. If Georgia beats Alabama in a close game. Alabama doesn't drop out of the top 4. Georgia obviously stays in. And then it becomes a big race for that number 4 spot. I mean, right now you have Clemson number 1, the AP poll that's out today. Clemson number 1, Alabama 2, Georgia 3, Notre Dame coming in at number 4. You have North Carolina at 5, Ohio State at 6, Cincinnati's at 8. The rankings are a big joke. It's a humongous joke because you mean to tell me that after 1 week of Big Ten, all of a sudden all these teams are just going to be bursting out of their spot. Like, if I'm in the top 4, I'm going to be pissed if Ohio State takes my spot just because they've played one game and here we are a month into the season and we've been battling this whole time. I don't like this. This is dumb. The ranking system is just really, really stupid. And that's coming from a guy that has a job that we rely on those rankings just to have something to talk about. But that's the thing. We don't rely on that to have something to talk about. So now I just get to talk about how dumb it is. I think it's dumb that Cincinnati is number 8. They are not the number 8 team in the country. Let's just stop it with that. I mean, come on. We'll get to that next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the big building material and home improvement auction online in Worcester, Ohio at the Wayne County Fairgrounds. Kitchens, flooring, doors, trim, plumbing, lighting, tools, and unclaimed freight online at pbauctions.com. Bidding has begun, and it all ends Thursday at 12 noon. Go to pbauctions.com and register to bid in the Wayne County Fairgrounds online auction. Live previews Wednesday and Thursday, and the auction ends starting at 12 noon Thursday. So go to pbauctions.com, and we'll see you online at the auction.
When you needed your mom, she was always there with the Vicks Vapor Rub. She used that soothing scent to calm you. And her mom used it to calm her. And her mom, well, you get the idea. Vicks Vapor Rub's always been there. It always made you feel better. And today, it still does. Bring back those childhood memories with the comfort and care only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, family tradition for a reason.
Napa know-how.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping and over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
It's time for Straight Talk. Just like football, you want the best coverage with your wireless network without your wallet taking a hit? Straight Talk Wireless gives you the same nationwide coverage as the big carriers, America's best networks, for up to 50% less. Just $45 a month for 25 gigs of high-speed data than 2G with an unlimited plan. No contract, no mystery fees. Don't get sidelined by weak protection. Get Straight Talk Wireless. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Election Day is November 3rd. If you plan to vote by mail, plan ahead at usps.com/votinginfo. There you will find helpful resources, such as guidance for successfully using the mail, links to find your state's rules and deadlines, information for military and overseas voters, and more. The U.S. Postal Service is ready to deliver for you. Make sure you're ready too. Start today at usps.com/votinginfo.
Looking for fall flavor that really brings the heat? Enjoy a home-style meal with a kick at Lee's famous recipe chicken, thanks to our spicy jumbo dippers combo for only $6.49. Dip into your spicy side with a big helping of our spicy jumbo dippers, an individual side, a fluffy biscuit, and a regular drink, all at a great price. It's the easy way to fire up your taste buds. Get a home-style meal made easy with our spicy jumbo dippers combo for only $6.49. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Be listening every hour for the word that wins and enter it at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
College football rankings, week 7 are out. Number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Alabama. Number 3, Georgia. And number 4, Notre Dame. North Carolina coming in at number 5, Ohio State 6, Oklahoma State 7, Cincinnati 8, Penn State 9, and Florida 10. And the big question I have is when I look at all of that, Ohio State just sitting there at number 6 makes no damn sense, because even if they had played the last 4 weeks, and even if this last 4 weeks they would have played the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten and a couple MAC schools, they would still be number 2 or number 3 in the country right now. So why are you just sitting them at 6? If you're just sitting them at 6 because it's Ohio State, you might as well have just put them as the placeholder for number 2 or number 3 as far as I'm concerned. The problem I have with all of this is that when Clemson's number 1, they're going to remain number 1 as long as they remain undefeated. I mean, they don't lose conference games. They don't lose regular season games. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, it's unbelievable, Kev. The kid, 2 years into his career, has only lost 1 game his entire college football career, and it was in the national championship against Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers. So the kid doesn't lose. So LSU's not being bounced in that number 1 spot, and rightfully so. Alabama at number 2, as long as they remain undefeated, if they beat Georgia this coming up weekend, the highest Ohio State can honestly sit early on is 3. But if I'm Notre Dame or I'm North Carolina or I'm some of these other undefeated schools, I'm looking at the polls committee or whoever runs this AP poll and say, how can you just, after 1 week of Ohio State playing Nebraska, they've played 1 game and you're going to bump them up over us who have played a month already? I have a huge problem with that. The other problem I have is Cincinnati being at number 8. Cincinnati is 3-0. They've played USF or UCF or whatever the hell they've played. I mean, they played just stop. They played nobody. All right, they played something Murray. Who they play? Hold on, I'm going to bring this up because basically this is a schedule Alabama would be proud of. This is definitely a schedule that Alabama would be proud of. I mean, look, they have to play within their cup. Austin P, the Governors. All right, they played the Governors. Austin P.
You heard that one before, huh?
What?
The Governors?
I don't know why I even said that. I have no context for that.
We'll talk about it off.
I don't even know why I said that. I have no context for that. So I hope I didn't say something wrong.
No. It's hilarious.
I am hilarious. Wow. I am funny. Thank you. Wow. So they beat Army, USF, and of course Austin P. Now Cincinnati is at number 8. And I saw Pro Football Focus come out today, and they're giving them all these grades and everything. And here's why I have a problem. I have a huge problem with, of course, all of this with stats in college sports, because the playing field is not leveled. Imagine taking 10 students and 10 students, and you're going to give them all different levels of academia. You're going to tell them, you're going to take a beginner to chemistry class, and you're going to take advanced bio. And then you're going to have all these kids taking different levels of difficulty, in courses. And then you're going to rank them from who's smartest to dumbest based on GPA, even though everyone's taking different levels of classes. That's what we do in college sports, and it's the dumbest thing in the world. Do you think if we did that with 10 to 20 college students and had them take beginner to chemistry or, biochemistry or whatever, and then rank them all on GPA, do you think that would be the best way to figure out who's the dumbest and smartest kids in that group of 20, Kev? No, but that's what we do in college. We tell Cincinnati, you go take beginner to chemistry. You go take introduction to polygons. Well, these guys over here are going to take the most advanced math classes, advanced science classes like Ohio State, Alabama, and others. And then when Ohio State or someone trips up, we're going to say, well, no, Cincinnati's smarter than you because, look, their GPA is higher than yours or their record's better than yours. It's stupid. It's dumb. Does anyone truly believe? Does anyone out there, besides Kevin, apparently, because I know where this is going, does anyone out there truly believe, even with Florida losing this past weekend, that Cincinnati is better than Florida? Does anyone truly believe that Texas A&M is not, that Cincinnati's better than them? Does even Miami? I watched Miami this past weekend. They did not look as good as Clemson, obviously. But at no point did I look at Miami and say, "Oh, Cincinnati would crush this team." Stop. We got to stop this thing with this over romanticizing the non-power fives and trying to create the Cinderella story. It's the Cincinnati's cute. They're adorable. They're the bear kittens. They're cute. Penn State's at number 9. Cincinnati number 8. Do you really think Penn State is worse than Cincinnati? No. They're not. Get Cincinnati out of there. If we are going,
are you basing it off of the name Cincinnati or what they're doing on the field? Because it sounds like you're talking about the conference that they're playing, and they're not big bad SEC, big bad Big Ten.
They don't have to play the big bad teams in the SEC. They could play the bottom of the barrel in the SEC, and it's still night and day better than what they're playing now. This goes back to my point about the GPA. We're going to have kids taking introduction to chemistry while they're taking biochemistry, and we're going to have a big mixture of everyone taking different levels of difficulty in classes, and then just base everything of who's smart and who's dumb based on GPA, even though everyone has a GPA, everyone has a record in college football, but everyone took different paths to get there. So if you have a better GPA than this person over here, it doesn't mean that you're smarter. It just means you took the easier classes. Well, Cincinnati, you're the dumb kid in this situation. You took the easier classes. While this kid over here, all right, like me, challenge yourself. You took the difficult classes, okay? Trust me, that's a joke. I went to school 8 years, and
every day.
I went to school 8 years. I'm not a doctor. I promise you, that was not me. But that's my point. Look, Cincinnati, they're a great story. But if Ohio State is going to be number 6 and then all of a sudden skyrocket to number 2 or 3 just because they played Nebraska here in a few weeks, then Cincinnati better drop back. I better see Penn State move back up. I better see Wisconsin move up. Michigan better move up. There's no way, absolutely no way that Cincinnati is the number 8 team in the country right now.
I just believe that there is repercussions for losing. You have to have repercussions for losing because the name of the game is W's and L's. So if you're winning games, you have to be rewarded no matter who you're playing, and you have to be not no matter who you lose to. Just like we're going to do our top 5, bottom 5 tomorrow after week 6, week 5, whatever week it is, and the National Football League is done. Kansas City is no longer my number 1 team. Yes, they're still going to be in my top 5, but there are repercussions for losing. You just have to view it that way. I don't believe that, okay, there's a situation like, okay, Ohio State. We love the Buckeyes, but the year that they end up losing to Michigan State, everybody was hemming and hawing about we should have made the college football playoff. We got robbed, yada, yada, yada. But there's repercussions for losing. That's what happens when you lose games. So these teams, Penn
State disagrees.
They might be better than UC, but guess what? Texas A&M, y'all lost. So, and we. But
why'd they lose?
Because the other team that they played beat them.
If Texas A, no, really. Thank you for oversimplifying that. I by the way, I don't disagree with you on that. That's true. If Texas A&M plays those same 3 schools that Cincinnati did, Texas A&M's undefeated.
Probably.
And they're probably not the number 8 team in the country. We are only giving Cincinnati the benefit of this doubt because they're just a feel-good story. We do this every year. But then when it comes down to it, we're going to dangle it in front of them, but then we're going to pull it out away from them whenever the real opportunity gets there. There's no way they'll put them in the college. I said the best chance Cincinnati had of making the college football playoff was if the Big Ten ended up ultimately not playing. Because if the Big Ten ultimately ended up not playing, the Pac-12, whatever, it's the Pac-12. Even if they played, they still wouldn't have anyone there probably. And then the Big 12 just shot itself in the foot. I know you have Oklahoma State there, but it's only a matter of time before they, blow themselves up as far as that goes. So then it's basically just the ACC and the SEC. And then I thought that there was a good shot that if Cincinnati's undefeated at the end of the year, this would be the year to throw them a bone. But that was because I thought there would be only 2 major conferences fighting it out for 4 playoff spots. But now that's not the case. And I just, like I said, I just have a hard time respecting this ranking at all because, for one, I'm actually saying this. Ohio State has no business being even in the ranking. Anyone in the Big Ten does not because you haven't played anybody. How dumb is it that Oklahoma State's 3-0, Ohio State's 0-0, and they're ranked ahead of Oklahoma State? Now, if Ohio State's playing and they're beating bad teams, Ohio State, Alabama, the Georgias, the Clemsons, there are certain programs that have earned the right to this point that I don't need to see them play somebody to know that they're somebody. Cincinnati does not deserve that treatment. I don't know why we're doing that treatment with them.
I think it's another thing about the conference. I think the biggest thing about the American and the thing that hurts the American the most is now you're down to only 2 teams that are undefeated, UCF has already lost. That was like their other big team. Memphis has lost and everything like that. So now the only undefeated teams in the American are the UC Bearcats and SMU, and they both play each other. So it isn't going to be one of those matchups where they don't play each other until that final showdown. So either one of those teams getting a big boost from beating one another, that's not going to happen. That matchup happens midway through the season. So that's lost for them as well. I just view it in a simple as complex as it could be. If you lose, you got to be penalized. If you win, you got to be rewarded. Did you feel the same way when Boise State was on their tear a couple years ago, when Boise State was going on the road to Power 5 teams and winning those games? Did you feel the same way for them? Because I don't think.
But you're not listening to my argument.
I'm asking. This is a serious question, because you see when they go on the road, they've beaten UCLA back-to-back seasons. That was last year, but their big chance to make a splash was last year, and they lost to Ohio State. They got smoked. But did you have that same energy when Boise State was beating tons of Pac-12 teams? They were going on the road to ACC teams winning, going on the road to SEC schools and winning. Did you have the same energy then?
I did not have the same energy then, because they were playing Power 5 schools and beating Power 5 schools. You talked about Cincinnati beating UCLA. They checked off that box on the checklist of the criteria of how to get in the college football playoff. Hey, you beat a Power 5 team, good or bad. That's one way to get rid of that stigma of you being a non-Power 5 program. But what is killing the Bearcats is the fact that people cannot get over, and Brian Coleman says they beat UCLA, LOL. But to be fair, Cincinnati beating UCLA, that was a good win for them, because it does put the conversation in, okay, gets rid of that stigma of, oh, these teams can't compete even with the bottom barrel of these Power 5 conferences. That's not, true. The SEC, I believe that's the case. I do believe Cincinnati couldn't beat anyone in the SEC, even the worst teams in that conference. That's just my opinion. But when you get beat down by Ohio State, because Ohio State is the face of the playoff, as is Alabama. Actually, technically, Clemson and Alabama are. You can flip a coin between those two of who's the real face of the playoff since it came in. The Clemson and Alabama have dominated the playoffs since it came in, even though Ohio State set the tone by winning the inaugural national championship. But when you think of Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, those are the teams that are the playoff. That when you get into the playoff, that's who you're running into. So for Clemson last year to be beating their chest saying, hey, we're a playoff team, we are a good team, you had your chance to face a playoff quality team. And I'm fine if you lose 38-35, 28-14, whatever. That's you. I can respect that because there was fight. There's no fight in a 45-0 blowout, beatdown, shutout loss, because that just showed the gap between the playoff caliber Buckeyes and the American Conference, the best of the American Conference.
I don't even think it's American Conference. Look at what Ohio State did to Big Ten teams. Like, they're not doing any better than UC did.
But those aren't playoff teams either.
So it's not about the conference. You're just strictly talking about the teams themselves.
No, the conference is what they are dealt with. They were dealt that bad hand. That's the stigma that they have to live with. And
that's a whole nother can of worms.
Because Ohio State, it's the opposite. So Cincinnati has to load up their non-conference with games just to get the respect before they get into the conference portion, where no one's going to respect those. Even when they do run into top 25 teams within their conference, it's usually number 19 versus number 14. And it's hard to really buy into that when we're tuning into Ohio State, number 2 versus number 5, Wisconsin. It's not the same weight. So when Cincinnati has to play the non-conference big boys, you have 3 weeks at the beginning of the season to prove that you're a playoff team, which is unfortunate for Cincinnati in a regular season. And Ohio State, they don't have anything to prove. I mean, they're playing just like everybody else, they're playing your MAC schools and so on to ease their way into the season. Cincinnati doesn't get that luxury. They have to be a finished product right away, but not this year. They don't have the luxury of having that non-conference to bolster their playoff resume. And I don't think that the schedule they have is good enough to justify putting them in the playoff. And they're going to be undefeated. Them or SMU will be undefeated at the end of the year. And we're going to sit here and say, oh man, should they be it? No, it might be a talking point. It's good for sports talk. It's good for the SEC or the sports, Sports Center shows and all that. But no, you're not going to, even a one-loss Florida team should get in before an undefeated Cincinnati.
I think it's always a moving target for the non-Power 5 teams. They're at a clear disadvantage with this whole layout. It's kind of like Charlie Brown and Lucy. They keep moving the football. You go undefeated, we'll let you in. Oh, we went undefeated. UCF. Sorry. No, you're not good enough. Y'all go play in the Peach Bowl. All right, we about to beat this Power 5 team in Auburn. Oh, they beat Auburn. Oh, man. Well, Auburn, man, they didn't really even want to be there.
It's true.
So, but I mean, that's
you think
what I'm
they're
saying.
taking them? Do you think they're taking them serious? They were getting ready to play in the playoff. They were getting ready to play the Buckeyes or Alabama or Clemson, and we got Cincinnati.
Constantly moving this target, man. Utah.
I don't think
Utah,
so. I think that it's the same target every year. It's the same stigma every year.
They move the target. You say you got to beat this team, they go beat a team, and then you go put them in the playoff. Put them in a big time matchup, and they go win, and it's still not good enough.
It's an exhibition game. Bowl games mean nothing.
And this happened with Alabama when Alabama lost to Utah in the Sugar Bowl, lost in their own SEC backyard. They lost to Utah. Oh, well, Alabama didn't be there. Nah, man, y'all went out there, y'all played, y'all lost. Give this team they respect. And it's the same thing.
They're a good, cute little team.
Same thing with UC is that they need to continue to build their program until they get into a Power 5 program. Same thing that happened with Utah. Utah wasn't always in the Pac-12. They kept winning, like they won under Herb, they won under Willingham. That big win they had in the Sugar Bowl over Bama propelled them into the Pac-12. So my advice for UC and all the UC fans and everything like that, keep winning games. You're never going to get in the Big Ten, and that's a total different conversation because everybody that loves me will hate me because I'll break down exactly why UC is not in the Big Ten.
Why not? They can get shut out just like Maryland and Rutgers.
No, I'm saying. I mean, yeah, they could. They could, but I'm saying
just as competitive. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. But, the reason they're not in the Big Ten is because of Ohio State. Ohio State won't let them in the Big Ten. But that's another story. But
you sound like UD fans. With Xavier won't let us in.
It's a fact.
If I'm Ohio State, I'll let them in.
It's a fact that they won't let them in, but that's neither here nor there. You try to wiggle your way into a Power 5 program and then you roll the dice and see what happens then. Utah did it. You can do it too.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, out of the American Conference, Cincinnati hasn't even been the most impressive storyline of that conference the last 5 years. UCF. If there's a team in that conference that deserves to be plucked to a bigger conference, it's UCF.
And they'll never be in because Miami, Florida State won't let them in.
And you have the ACC, the SEC. Yeah. There's too many schools in that area that they're going to keep them.
They're going to vote them out.
So 457. No, we're not actually going to take calls because we do have Jason Fitz coming up here in a few minutes. Let's go to the Facebook feed real quick. Brian Coleman says, "You are on fire. Preach." Thank you. And that's coming from and Brian Coleman. Just because I know you're talking about me, please educate Kevin. Tell Kevin, you were talking about me. Tell him I was on fire. And I'm preaching
because I wasn't sure who he was talking to.
Hallelujah.
I was going to ask if he was talking about me or talking about you, but obviously you would assume he was talking about you.
Of course, absolutely.
That would be the Kinder way.
Brian, put in the comment section that you were talking about me. Because he goes on to say, well, he disrespects Ohio State. He goes, Ohio State and Clemson have a cakewalk to the playoff. Ohio State playing in the Big Ten is like Bama playing in the MAC. I'm not going to disagree that the schedules are weak, but a lot of schedules are weak. So David Shaw says, Justin, you are wrong a lot today. No, I'm not. And by the way, earlier when you said that a win's a win, that's not always the case. Again, that's like saying, well, 4.0 is a 4.0. Well, does that mean that you're smarter than that person over there? Yeah. See, Brian Coleman, Justin is on fire. He's talking about me.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Definitely a good thing.
Because in the basketball sense, that's a good thing. But like in the actual literal sense of fire, that would be bad.
The roof. Todd Meadows says, I have to. Oh, here we go. It gets better on Facebook. Again, we're live on Facebook. Search The Justin Kinner Show. You get to comment in the comment section, and we get to have a lot of fun that way. We get to pull you into the show. For those of you who are at work or in the car and you can't, call in, that's fine. I don't suggest really texting and driving, but, do whatever you got to do. Todd Meadows says, I have to agree with Justin on the rankings. It would be ridiculous to rank Cincinnati above Alabama or Georgia after this weekend just because Alabama or Georgia have one loss. To your point earlier, a lot, you need to punish teams for a loss. But again, if Georgia has a loss this week, it's because they play Alabama, not Cincinnati, who's playing Austin Peay, or they've already played Austin Peay. But you see my point. So, Cincinnati gets more of a reward for beating a team like Austin Peay while Georgia loses a game to Alabama. I don't think Cincinnati, who has an undefeated record in a one-loss Georgia or Bama team, it doesn't make Cincinnati better than those. Todd, you're a smart man. I agree with you.
And just like everything in college football. We talk about rankings and we complain about rankings, and obviously we have to do that because it's our job. But as we talk about off air a ton of times, I'm not a big rankings guy. I believe it always works itself out. It rarely, talk about an outlier, it rarely doesn't work itself out. Most of the time, the rankings always work itself out, and we get the teams that deserve to be in the college football.
But when Cincinnati's undefeated this year, which is going to happen, in my opinion, they will be undefeated. What's going to happen?
They got to earn it. They got to earn it. They got to go out there and earn it on the field.
Oh, geez. You're one of those people who
yes,
take
I
care
am.
of itself. Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
I mean,
because that's the literal thing that will happen. They have to go earn it. Like they have to play SMU. They still have to go to UCF, who's the big dog in the conference until otherwise known. They still got to go to Memphis. Like they got games. They got to beat these teams. I'm not giving them nothing. They got to go earn it.
We got, anyways. David Shaw says, coming from you. So you're fine with Ohio State being number 6 right now, and they haven't played a dang game?
No, they shouldn't be ranked.
Okay, fair enough.
Nobody in the Big Ten, nobody in the Pac-12. You can't be ranked if you don't play a game.
David Shaw says, what did you want UC to do this year? They had games scheduled. The schedule was stop. Not everything has to have this like moral, like back end decision. Like, oh, well, they had tough games scheduled. It got canceled because of COVID. So we're just going to keep them there. No, you are going to get into the college football playoff based on what you do. And even if Cincinnati goes undefeated, their resume will not touch even the one-loss teams, because the one-loss teams, the only reason they have a one loss is because they actually play somebody. And I'm not talking about the one loss teams that get upset. I'm talking about like Georgia or Alabama this week. One of those two teams is going to come out of this weekend with the loss. We're talking about the number 2 team in the country and the number 3 team in the country. All of a sudden, one of those teams gets a loss and they're just no good. If it's 38 to 35 or 41 to 38, a close game, are we going to say, well, no, I don't agree with that. That's a fact. Read the rest of the comment. I am. The schedule was canceled, and then the conferences came back in conference only. So what are they supposed to do? There's nothing they can do. That's my whole point. Like my whole point about Cincinnati is there's not a thing that they can do. UCF is proof of that. UCF is proof. UCF went undefeated for 2 years, and they never made it into the playoff. That's why I'm saying there's nothing that they can do. Get out of the conference. Go elsewhere. Don't complain about how difficult it is to get into the playoff. You got to find a way to get something done. I don't know what you can do, but I'm just telling you the way it's going. It's not happening. It's not happening as far as that goes. Mike Nympher says the problem is they shouldn't have disbanded the Big East Conference. Should have made it stronger. That's a conversation argument for another day. We'll get back into this coming up around the corner. Good stuff as always. I love college football season. I love when Kevin's wrong. I love when Kinner's right. Woo. And Kinner was right. Go back to Brian Coleman. Justin is on fire. And that's Bama Brian, by the way.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, of course he will believe you.
I'm not. Oh, yeah. Oh, Bama Brian's on fire.
Stroking the SEC's ego. The Power 5 ego.
All right, we're going to be joined by ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We'll talk a little Browns. We'll talk a little Bengals. We'll even talk some Buckeyes. Jason Fitz next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny with a high near 68. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low around 45. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny with a high near 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
When you gotta be somewhere, it's like really urgent. You don't want to do it over the phone. Some things just can't be said with an LOL or an OMG. Some things just need to be done IRL. So you get in your Nissan Altima and drive. Feel the VC turbo engine instantly react to give you more power and efficiency so you can get where you need to go.
Eric. What are you doing here?
Like.
Huh?
Your social post. I liked it.
Oh, thank you. There's a button for that, right?
I do.
The Nissan Altima, now offering the most tech-advanced engine in its class. This is tech that helps you be there. This is Nissan Intelligent Mobility. Auto Pacific segmentation. 2020 Altima Platinum versus latest in-market competitors in the premium midsize class. Available feature. World's first production variable compression turbo engine launched by Nissan Motor Company Limited in 2018.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows. So when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.125%, APR 3.43%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 2.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
They can bulge, go bald, wear down, flatten, or be in dire need of replacing.
No, guys, it's not you.
We're talking about your tires. Let Fat Boys get your car rolling again. Safe and sound. Fat Boys carries tires in all makes, styles, and sizes, including Continental, Goodyear, Michelin, and more. Check out Fat Boys' new location in North Dayton at the corner of Needmore and I-75 or 3050 Springboro Pike in South Dayton. Fat Boys, your ultimate resource for wheels, tires, service, and accessories. Look for Fat Boys at fatboysdayton.com.
Mike Foley is proud to serve as our Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, and he's asking for our vote again this November. Mike is a father, a U.S. veteran, and has been a small business owner for over 20 years. He's not a career politician, but a leader that gets things done. Mike Foley has saved taxpayers over $3 million in less than 2 years in office by running the clerk's office more efficiently. He truly brings the courthouse to the community. For all the right reasons, let's re-elect Mike Foley, Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
This is Mike Foley, and I approve this message.
Now at Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Menards has a great selection of ideal garage doors to choose from. Styles range from the classic look to traditional and contemporary to modern. You're sure to find a door that fits your style. All ideal garage doors are 11% off. Get 11% off everything. Now at Menards. Good through October 17th. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
Me and the boys are in Miamisburg, Ohio today at the classic Arthur Hills designed Pipestone Golf Club. Pipestone is one of the most popular courses in the Miami Valley, and it's in fantastic condition. It's a beautiful golf course. We're at the tee on the 6th hole. It's a par 5 and one of the most beautiful holes in the entire course. You need to come out to Pipestone and see it for yourself. Unfortunately for me, though, there is trouble all over this hole, and I'm in it. When I finally see the fairway, I have a downhill lie, and I'm staring at an elevated green. I'm not up to the task, though, unfortunately. 3 shots later, I'm in the cup with a double bogey 7. No reason to be upset, though. I mean, there's another beautiful and challenging golf hole ahead. You should get your pals together, book a tee time, and come out and play Pipestone. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Pipestone and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Ricky LeBlanc, Chestnut Hill, Mass. Admitted in Massachusetts only. While this firm maintains joint responsibility, most cases of this type refer to other attorneys for principal responsibility. Attention firefighters, listen closely to the following alert. Certain chemicals in firefighting foams, also known as AFFF, are linked to cancer. Exposure to foam may increase the risk of kidney, pancreatic, testicular, bladder, breast, liver, colon, and prostate cancer, as well as leukemia and lymphoma. Firefighters who use firefighting foam and later develop cancer may be entitled to compensation. Call Sokolov Law now. 1-800-712-1300 for a free legal consultation. Again, that's 1-800-712-1300. 1-800-712-1300. Members Paul J. Morgan, Winter Park, Florida. Nick Nicewander, Florence, Kentucky. Rich Graybo, 970 Farmington Avenue, West Hartford, Connecticut. 860-904-7789. Michael Bro Gonzalez, admitted Louisiana. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other attorneys. I'm a paid non-attorney spokesperson.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
All right, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. How about this? I found this a little interesting. So, former Ohio State coaches Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel, they both encourage continuing to follow COVID-19 prevention protocols, which that's a message we can all get behind. Don't get me wrong. But you know, Ohio State always seems to just miss that. I mean, you have Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer not standing 6 feet apart, not wearing a mask, telling everyone to make sure you stand 6 feet apart and make sure you wear your mask. Tune into Justin Kinner, 5'5" Justin Kinner, as he tells you how to dunk later on. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Let's bring on ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason, welcome in, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing spectacular. How you doing?
Good. Are you interested in taking the Justin Kinner Learning How to Dunk class?
Well, it depends. If it's on a 4-foot rim, I like my chances. That's about the only shot I've got at dunking. Like, I don't think I could dunk on an 8-year-old in an elementary school. But, you know, my hops are not what I'm known for. You just got to accept your physical limitations as you get older, and I accept them.
Well, you know, I only play on 4-foot rims, except I did get to play with the Harlem Globetrotters about a year and a half ago. That was like the coolest memory. They had me do this layup, though. That was so embarrassing. I could barely touch the backboard. So I just talk about basketball. I don't try to play anymore as far as that goes. But we appreciate you taking time and hanging out with us today. Let's dive right into this. This is a conversation we had to open up the show today, Jason. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, based on what you've seen 5 games in, if you could redraft right now and you could only take one of those, who is the quarterback that you're taking between those two? And just for gigs, we could throw Tua in there as well. But Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, who are you taking between one of those two right now with what you've seen 5 games in?
Joe Burrow. I'm still taking Joe Burrow. And I'll tell you why. I know that's not a popular take, but this is what we always do with every single quarterback that comes into the league. We become infatuated with very small body of evidence, right? So you get a couple of games in and you say, oh, my God, we've got our guy. And everybody knows I'm a Raiders fan, right? At the end of the 2016 season, Raiders fans were convinced Derek Carr was going to be the next Aaron Rodgers because as we see good from a quarterback, we decided that good is everything. And then, you know, look at Baker. Baker Mayfield was the second coming for year 1. Year 2, he was suddenly trash. And now year 3, he's somewhere in the middle of it. That's why I keep telling everybody it takes so much time. But the one thing I'll say is that what matches any tendencies you see that match what they did in college matter to me. So I'm going to go back to who Justin Herbert was in college, and he was a good dynamic playmaker that was able to extend plays and make fun plays with his arm. That's spectacular. But if you look at the metrics in college, when he got blitzed, it wasn't always pretty. If you look at the metrics so far in the pros, for whatever reason, people have been afraid to blitz him. But so far, when he faces a blitz, he has the second lowest completion percentage in the NFL. So while I understand that Herbert has made some big plays and it's been fun to watch, I got to wait and see a quarterback evolve against what defensive coordinators are going to throw at him. And I'm still going to look at Joe Burrow and say, hey, I've seen so much good from him in college that plays into part of how I see him in the pros.
You know, we saw that horrible injury with Dak on Sunday, and the whole rhetoric all week has been, it's Jerry Jones' fault. Is it anybody's fault, or is this just football?
No, it's just football. Like, sometimes bad things happen to good people, you know, and that's the one thing, you know, for all the conversation about money. And so I can't imagine, give me 1 second on the soapbox. I can't imagine if somebody that I loved was going through this horrific injury and the first conversation was never about their well-being. It was instead about their money. I just think that's one of the worst things about the way we are as sports fans. So having said that, I think the most incredible moment was to see the way the players and coaches and everybody went to Dak's side, which tells you how beloved he is. I mean, you don't do that for every single player. Not every player gets that level of love. So that's a huge statement to Dak. The other side of it is, though, business is business. Dak rolled the dice. The Cowboys rolled the dice. And frankly, everybody keeps talking about Dak like he rolled the dice wrong. I'm not buying it because all indications are he's going to make a full recovery. And when he does, I still think somebody's going to pay him mega money. And if it's not the Cowboys, I still think somebody's going to pay him mega money, and they'll trade draft picks to get him because they know who Dak can be. And you got the choice between the known entity of Dak or rolling the dice in the draft. You're taking Dak, I believe. So, the Cowboys are the ones that I think are really, they put themselves, up a creek because Andy Dalton is just good enough to win some football games. And that's just good enough to get them into a spot where they're not going to be able to draft a quarterback that they would need to replace Dak. So, I think the Cowboys are pinned in, but I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just sometimes football stinks.
I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I was very upset to see Le'Veon Bell sit out the season, then sign with the Jets. And now the word is they're trying to shop Le'Veon Bell. What possibly could the Jets get for Le'Veon?
Nothing. I mean, there's just no market for him, right? Like, why would you trade for that huge? I mean, that's a lot of money for Le'Veon, and we've seen so little from him. But the other side of this is, why are they letting Adam Gase do anything that has long-term ramifications? If I'm the Jets and I'm going to let you at least stay in the building, you ain't going to get to make any important phone calls. It's like, no, you're not grounded. You're not fired completely, but you've lost all phone privileges. Like, that's step number one. I'm not letting anybody in that building make any big decisions until I know who's actually going to be running the team and coaching the team next year, because I don't believe any of them are safe.
What do you think? And you talk about who you don't think anyone's safe. What about Sam Darnold? I remember when the talk of the Bengals having the number one overall pick, the big conversation was, good quarterbacks coming out of college that go to bad organizations and how good quarterbacks coming out could be ruined. That was a big topic around here, talking about Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati, months and months ago before the draft. But then you see a situation like Sam Darnold and the Jets. I don't know who Sam Darnold is, and I don't think that's his fault. I don't know if the narrative fits here that it's the Jets' fault. I mean, what's the future of Sam Darnold? Is he a Jet next year? And if not, what do you think the market could be for a Sam Darnold?
I really think that, I get that people want them to go after Trevor Lawrence. If I'm the Jets and I end up being the worst team in football, I know that Trevor Lawrence has the opportunity to be special, and most people will disagree with me on this. I'm trading that pick for the mother of all bounties that I could possibly get because, look, I don't love Sam Darnold. I didn't love Sam Darnold coming out of college. I think he's sort of who he was at USC. He's a super talented guy that will make a ton of great plays, and then every once in a while he'll throw a boneheaded pick to somebody that he's much better than, and that's what he did in college, and that's sort of who he is with the Jets. So I was hopeful that the Jets would be able to fix some of those tendencies for him. That hasn't happened. So, but if you're the Jets, I mean, I genuinely believe, I don't care who they put. I don't care if they put Patrick Mahomes behind that Jets offensive line. They don't have other weapons. They don't have a good line. They don't have a team that's really worth playing on. They need an all-new roster. And that's not a popular take for a lot of people in New York. But those are the moments you got to look at it and say, hey, maybe what you need is to tear the whole thing down to the studs and rebuild. And I believe that's what the Giants and the Jets are going to be looking at this offseason. And I don't think one player will accomplish enough of that. So I'm looking at the bevy of picks. I think Darnold's still going to get a chance. If he hits the open market, somebody will give up a third rounder for him at least, if not more.
Kenner and I have this debate all the time about if you're the number one guy like a Trevor Lawrence and the Jets or the Lions have the number one pick and they have their eyes set on you. And I'm a proponent of, I'll go back to school. I'll sit out. I'll pull a John Elway. I'll pull a Eli Manning. He sits on the other side of the fence with that, saying, it's an honor to be picked in the draft. Go play. If you're good enough, you can make it happen. I'm just a person that believes that, man, these teams have been terrible for so long and they'll ruin you. Now, we don't know if Sam Darnold would have been good if he went to another team, but we do know he's bad with the Jets. And we do know that the Lions have had two of the best position players of all time in Calvin Johnson and in a Barry Sanders, and they did absolutely nothing with him. Where do you come down on the Trevor Lawrence, if he's going to go to the Jets or Lions, him deciding to go back to school thing?
The only problem, and look, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. The only problem, there's two things. One, I believe that there's a bit of a God complex to a lot of these guys that are coming out at the top of the draft that believe that they can fix anything. But two, and this is big, I mean, money's money, right? If you're Trevor Lawrence, you can take that insurance policy out all day that people talk about, but they rarely tell you how difficult they are to actually cash in and, how much less it is. Like, if you're Trevor Lawrence, the day you sign, you're going to be getting TV money, you're going to be getting advertising money, and you're going to get a disgusting amount of money from a team to go play for a bad organization. So it only takes one, God forbid, Dak Prescott-like moment, and everything changes for Trevor Lawrence. So if I'm Trevor, I go out and I just do the best I can with what I got. And I go into, if you're going into New York especially, I mean, you talk about you're going to be in New York. Like the marketing opportunities for, a likable young man like him, I think would be through the roof. So as much as those franchises are absolutely at times a dumpster fire, I don't see how you can justify not taking the cash.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here. Last thing, and we'll let you go, but you got the Steelers, you got the Browns coming up this weekend, a big matchup. Again, both teams really trying to prove a lot. Like we don't really know who the Steelers are. We trust them because they have a veteran coach, respected organization. You have Big Ben back this year. They haven't played anyone that really that they've beat that you could say, that for sure that Pittsburgh is back. Then you look at Cleveland, they're 4-1, they're rolling. Right now they're at an all-time high. This is a big game for both franchises this weekend. Who comes away? Pittsburgh a 3.5-point favorite as we sit right now.
I find myself believing in the Steelers because I still think about last year and how bad their quarterback situation was and how good that team still was. So I'm applying a little bit of that forward this year. But this is what I will say about the Browns. I think everybody last year was too high on the Browns, and everybody this year is too low on the Browns. And, that to me is sort of what happens when a bunch of national media people make some big statements about a team, and then they get bit, by it. So they come in the next year a little more cautious. The only question last year about the Browns was their coaching, and they've answered this year what it looks like when you have a competent coach there. And I think what the Browns are doing offensively is absolutely incredible. And, I always love to throw out these stats, but their run block win rate is the second highest in the NFL. Like the Browns are doing things, rushing the football, that's making it easy for them to throw the football, which is alarming because they have a lot of talented people to throw the football too. So I have a hard time seeing, sort of how anybody's going to slow down the Browns right now. I think they're very good, but man, I believe that the Steelers are going to come out with a bit of a statement here. But ultimately, I think the Steelers win this game. I think the Steelers and Browns are both playoff teams, though.
Congratulations to your Raiders, by the way. I will ask you this without taking anything away from your Raiders win. Kansas City has looked a little questionable the last couple of weeks. Is there something? I mean, again, I didn't expect them to go undefeated. I don't think that, it's very difficult to go undefeated. For one, just your Raiders looked really good. But two, is there something going on with Kansas City that they just haven't looked as explosive the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, there is. And I'll actually credit Belichick, as we always do for everything. But it's warranted here. I think Bill put a little bit of something on tape. And again, I'll go back to these crazy stats, but this one really interested me on the Raiders-Chiefs game. In the second half, or in the game itself, the Raiders got 29 quarterback pressures. People keep talking about that. But the real significant stat is that their offensive line had a 65% pass rush win rate, which is actually better than normal. So it means that they actually kept the Raiders front four under sort of check. So in check. So how did they get so many quarterback pressures? Well, Mahomes held the ball in that game longer than he has in any game in his entire career. And that's what Belichick showed everybody is, hey, you can vary up your coverages and confuse Mahomes. And that's what the Raiders did in the second half. That's what shut them down. They took a page out of Belichick's book. And I think now what we're going to see is a lot of zone blitz and a lot of, hey, how can we drop different people into coverage? Because if you make Mahomes hesitate for just a second, that can be enough to help you at least disrupt the timing of the plays. So he's still going to do otherworldly things, but I do think that there's been a blueprint on how to at least slow him down a little bit, which is scary for the Chiefs.
Spain and Fitz, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. You can catch Sarah Spain and Jason Fitz, who's awesome enough to join us every Tuesday from now and through the end of December. Jason, thank you so much. Give Jason a follow on Twitter at Jason Fitz, Fitz. Jason, thank you. Take care. We'll talk in a week.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Peace. All right, good stuff there. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Again, he joins us every Tuesday, usually at 4:30. We had to bump him back a bit. He was actually working on the Raiders radio network just a little bit ago. 457-9464. We'll have time to wrap up a couple of your calls on the other side of the break. We'll be back in a moment. I didn't get to share this earlier. We'll close out the show with this. Hugh Jackson shared his biggest regret going back to the Bengals. I'll tell you what that regret is when we come back. Browns fans, you'll want to stick around for this one as well.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Got a project to do? Use the right equipment and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. With over 50 years experience, Arts has the best selection, delivery, and service, plus 14 Arts locations. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
Me and the boys are in Springfield, Ohio today. We're playing Windy Knoll, an extremely well-maintained course known as Central Ohio's premier link-style golf course. We're getting ready to tee off at the 9th hole. It's a par 5 and the longest hole on the course. They say you can get on the green in 2 with the wind at your back, but I'll feel good if I could just stay in the fairway and avoid the dangerous mounds on my right. I'm off the tee in good shape, but my second shot drifts left toward the water. I land short, and it takes 2 shots for me to get up in front of the green. This is a big green, and I need 3 putts to get in for a double bogey. Not my best hole, but definitely one of my favorite golf courses. If you're looking for a unique and truly enjoyable golf experience, you have to come out and play Windy Knoll. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Windy Knoll and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
Cleanings, checkups, and cavities? Have Dr. Chang's dental practice at capacity.
Patient in room 1 is getting a root canal. The x-rays in room 2 are going to have to wait. We're down to 1 hygienist.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding, over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. No-touch freight, home daily lanes. Earn up to $270 per day, $2,000 sign-on bonus. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Apply online, CordellTransportation.com.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
We're in Greenville, Ohio today playing beautiful Turtle Creek Golf Club. This course was recently rated the 4th best public golf course in the state of Ohio. I'm standing on the tee at the 5th hole. This par 4, well, it's considered the toughest hole on the front 9, and while I can definitely see why after looking around, there are trees all around you, and you have to reach an elevated fairway with your drive, or it's impossible to even see the green. Well, I find the rough off the tee and have to punch out with my next shot. My third shot gets me up the fairway in position to reach the green. Playing 3, I finally hit a good shot and land 6 feet from the hole and putt in. Listen, I'll take a bogey on this hole absolutely any day of the week. If you are looking for great golf courses to play around the Miami Valley, you have to go play this course. Get your pals together, book a tee time, and come out and play Turtle Creek. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Turtle Creek and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Strict attention to detail. That's what sets Kubota construction equipment apart. It's how we maximize performance, increase strength, and give you the dependability you demand. We engineer our equipment precisely at every level. It's what makes us a leader. Save up to $11,000 on construction equipment or get 0% APR financing for 60 months. Now through December 31st, 2020. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
Contractors, use the right equipment for your project and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. No storage, no maintenance, no hassle. 14 Arts locations and online at artsrental.com. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Starting route. Your destination is 0.1 miles away.
If you drive less than
500 feet, turn left. You have arrived at your destination.
if you drive less than 25 miles a day, you could be paying less every day with pay-per-mile car insurance from Allstate. You get the same reliable coverage and hands-on expertise you'd expect from Allstate, but now at a price that's tailored to the miles you drive.
Call your local Allstate agent and start paying what's right for you. Includes a daily rate. Prices vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Not applicable in California. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and its affiliates.
Before your next flooring job, make Lowe's your first stop. See the latest styles in our new flooring showroom. We carry more tile, more vinyl, more laminate and hardwood than ever before. Whatever you need, we have the job lot quantities you expect at bulk pricing to save you money. Shop in store or online at lowesforpros.com. Need materials delivered to your job site? No problem. Our pro team can help you get the job done right and on time. It's just one more reason why Lowe's is the new home for pros. U.S. only.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
All right, everybody, we are back, and we're closing things out here. But how about this? I thought, okay, like this is this is nuts, okay? Like, and Kevin already called me out for this during the break. He goes, "You just can't help yourself, can you?" So I thought, based on Bengals fans' rules, I thought that rookie quarterbacks were not allowed to be in commercials if they had a losing record. According to ESPN's Ben Baby, who covers the Bengals rookie quarterback Joe Burrow is now a pitchman for Ohio-based Lordstown Motors. The electric motor company announced, here's some of the promotional art. And no, Joe Burrow, he's so cool. He has a beanie on, a little shirt that says "Work for it." Oh my God, he's leaning against the car. Now, first of all, that's not as badass as leaning against a car shirtless with a freaking tiger next to you. That is how you make a statement, not, he's so cool. But Bengals fans, I thought that rookie quarterbacks who haven't accomplished anything and have a losing record weren't allowed to be in commercials. Wasn't that the Baker Mayfield rule? But how come when your guy does it, Twitter's going nuts? Oh, that's our quarterback. Oh, man. I'm just curious. I'm curious about how the rules are. Let's go to Wink. Wink, close this out. How are you, sir?
Wink is gone.
Wink, my bad, man. We'll get to you tomorrow. All right, folks. So Hugh Jackson, former Browns head coach, former Bengals offensive coordinator, he was on a podcast earlier today. He said the number one regret that he had going back to his time with the Bengals was that he left Cincinnati to take the Browns job. He said there was a lot of he was uncomfortable being the coach in waiting, that there was a lot of talk from Mike Brown in the front office that he was going to be groomed as the next head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. But he just felt that was going to really make Marvin Lewis uncomfortable. And with him and Marvin being so close, he couldn't do that to his friend, which ultimately led to him taking the job in Cleveland. And he said he was frustrated. He said that he implemented the same things that he did in Cincinnati in Cleveland, but he goes, look at the rosters that he had. There was how people expected him to win when they were gutting the roster, which, by the way, I agree with him. I'm not a Hugh Jackson guy saying that he shouldn't have been fired, but Hugh Jackson got a bad rap. You can't give a guy a rebuilding roster. By the way, that roster that went 0-16, that you had Deshaun frickin' Kaiser as your quarterback, you didn't give Hugh Jackson DeShone Kizer because you thought you were giving him a legit quarterback. You gave him DeShone Kizer because you knew damn well you were trying to put yourself in position to have good draft picks. And you ended up having the number 1 and the number 4. So I don't blame Hugh Jackson for the calamity that was the Cleveland Browns, just a few years ago. But man, that's why I always say, make sure you're smart about your next job.
Right.
Just, Bieniemy, I want him to get a head coaching job. Everybody does. But just don't go take any old job to take a head coaching job because it'll ruin you. And send Ty Lue, your next head coaching job in the NBA, make sure it's a good job. Don't just go take a job to take a job, because then when you go lose, it's not going to be because, it's a bad team. It's because it's Ty Lue. Hugh Jackson, no one looks at him and says, he failed because the Browns are a joke. They say he's the joke. That ain't fair. We'll finish this up tomorrow. More of the Justin Kinder, not more. Tomorrow, we'll be back. More of the Justin Kinder Show tomorrow with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Morning.
How'd you get in my house, B?
Through the air conditioning vent. It's dark in there.
Go away.
How about some Honey Nut Cheerios?
Cheerios.